we're doing.
I'm not prepared.
No.
I'm not prepared.
I'm not prepared to die.
Not even prepared to be awake. But
Hello, welcome, good afternoon. And here is Smudcast number 299, Trope Talk, Sins of the Father. And this is a video by Overly Sarcastic Productions, probably the least painful of all of our YouTubers. She's not dumb. She'll occasionally say some random political thing here and there, but she's reads a lot, she writes a lot, she speaks a lot very quickly, and it's mostly just concerning a trope or a pattern, and she tries to connect it to other things, which I always appreciate, because it's not about randomly pattern recognition, as we might have heard in another video. She actually tries to make sense of things, which is good. So I do appreciate that. And the video we're covering today is just been published last week, or 2 weeks ago rather, and it has 500,000 views, and it's doing good, doing well. It's got 44,000 likes, pretty good. So this should take us some time, unless it's completely wrong and boring. And then I don't know how long that'll take, but we could
I was gonna say, I was just watching a little bit of this video, just to see what I was dealing with, and she talks a little too fast for my taste, just a little bit.
Yes, I noticed that.
He begins and ends sentences under the same breath. It's
not for everyone, but if you like story patterns and tropes and ideas and popular fiction, she does a decent job, and it's okay. I don't mind it.
Oh, I mean, we can slow her down, like movie pop. I mean.
Yeah, we can.
Red makes mostly good content, and then there's just these spikes of, here's a weird political take that is totally out of this world, and then she goes back to making mostly good statements.
so
it's the brainwashing wisp.
yeah, it's just like I always go. It's like
I don't think
hopefully
with her it's
fast,
intentional. I
makes random
think she
points.
just believes in stuff and tries to connect it, and
Yeah.
I'm just
I
glad.
think it's just possession by stupid ideas.
Yeah, I'm just glad it's not the focus of the videos, because we have like Renegade Cut, who's intentionally trying to insert politics into every analysis, whereas this person at least looks at the body of the work, or at least part of the work, and analyzes a component, talks about the pattern, talks about another pattern or another example of that pattern, which is always great. So I see nothing wrong with that format.
Also, does she also have a thing for Steven Universe as well? Because I think the last video we watched, they had a thing with her. What was it? What one did we cover last time? We were just talking about a trope. It's like the hero's journey, or I can't remember.
Wasn't it character deaths?
Character deaths and stuff like that. And Steven Universe was on that one, I think. And I've noticed that he's on the thumbnail of this video as well. So it's just it's nothing bad. I'm just saying. I just noticed it's like a recurrent.
It's a good show. Why do you hate it?
Wow.
Nah, it's not that good.
Sorry, you said some words that just didn't fit as a sentence. Can you just repeat that? I heard good and show, and I just couldn't.
Just pretend
he was
like
talking
I
about
didn't say
TNG.
it. Just pretend that you were drunk.
I don't have to.
Maybe you are
pretend,
drunk. I don't know.
There's no pretending that shit.
I can't drink. I'm actually looking at beer, and my brain's just going no more, no more. We've done our time this weekend. Anyway, sorry for that tangent. Carry on.
That's no problem. Okay, here's our first donation of the day from Tall Person Hoy. Have some money, and I personally find it funny when someone says someone else talks too fast. I watch videos at 2 times the speed. Well, it really depends.
High five, club!
Well, it really depends on who you can actually crank up to 2 speeds, because they're either very quick or very soft. And once you speed it up, it's very hard to pick apart.
Good luck doing that to a stream.
I mean, I can understand Ben Shapiro.
I watch
This woman, I think, it was like
fast
0.5.
Otherwise, I'm not ever gonna get finished with anything. The only people I don't watch on 2 times, or at least 1.5 when I'm tired, is people like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Because he talks like me when I'm well, and that's
Yeah,
fast.
but the thing is with Ben Shapiro, he's so full of anger and hate. That
Yes.
I just have to speed through, or just put it on mute to get through those 3 hours. Sorry, I'm going off on another tangent again.
I mean,
sorry,
you have to turn the
Just bring
volume
him up
down.
as an example for someone who talks fast, because there aren't actually that many people. Most talk really slow, like Tabernacle or Renegade Cut, and it makes me want to kill myself because he is never going to get to the end of the sentence that is ever further out on the horizon, which he never reaches, and adds yet another sentence at the end of it just to draw it all out until you finally die of old age before the video finishes.
Thank you,
Just
Captain
keep going.
Picard.
Just keep going.
God, Tom. No, with that,
This
all you have
video
to do
5
is
hours.
the perfect
Again, just for eternity,
impression.
don't worry.
Yeah, but the perfect Renegade Cut impression would be at the end of that, just finish with, anyway, I'm an anarchist now. And then that's it. That's all you have to do.
Northern South Korea.
Back to communism.
Anyway, back to Northern South Korea.
All right.
Back to climate change.
let's get to the video because it's gonna take some time, but hopefully it'll be a nice watch and we won't drive ourselves nuts. And the interruptions of whatever she's talking about will be nice and clear and not crazy. So here's Mike Testa. Hey, Mike, guys, good to see you as always. Someone spoiled the death battle where Steven lost to Star from Star versus the Forces of Evil. Does anyone know what Star versus the Forces of Evil?
Yes.
What is
Yes.
it? What
Could
is
you,
it?
Yeah.
Mike,
is-
could you not have spoiled that? That literally just came out.
First, that is a proper sentence with context from Mike Testa. We should celebrate. It's awesome. Second,
Yeah.
it's great. Star Wars: The Forces of Evil is another CalArts cartoon. It is technically, I would say it's more interesting than Steven Universe because it doesn't fall apart as much, but it's equally badly written. It has animation errors like you wouldn't believe. It's mainly about a crazy, unhinged royal girl that comes to our world, with magic powers, and she has to learn to deal with them. And her male friend is just the butt of the joke. He tries to be the hero, and has to rather. Generalisms and the insane. There are some psychologically insane moments there where you have to question the sanity of the authors, because at some point the male support, in order to get some dimensional scissors by which you can warp through worlds, to I don't remember what he had to get them for anymore. A part of was getting back, and the demon who made them made him go on a quest that took something like 30 years. So he...
No, like 10, not even 20 years.
Yeah, something like that, but decades. And he was essentially a grown-up man who went through war and strife and sacrifice by the end of it. And in the real world, it's like 5 minutes of time passed.
Yeah. About the length of the episode.
Yeah, and he went then he went back to his younger body again, but he still had a memory of those 20 years. So basically, he's a grown-up old man now. Well, not old, but he's a grown-up middle-aged man in mind now.
Basically, an excuse to have
anymore.
It's pretty much an excuse to have him be more capable.
Yeah, but the series never addresses that anymore. This boy is scarred to beyond belief at this point.
All right. Well, this was funny because Steven Universe fans can't catch a break, can they? Because of the results of that battle.
Oh yeah.
All right. It's fine, whatever. I'm not going for any party. Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Steven Universe.
I don't know the facts.
From very far away, it just looks funny because these the fandom of Steven Universe truly seems to be one of the worst to have ever existed, including within the realm of the social justice cartoons.
It's like this with every fandom, whether it's manga or cartoons or comics. can your character from this story win a battle
Not to
against
this degree.
this
Not
character
to
from
this
that
degree.
Yeah.
These people drive others into suicide, including
Oh, yeah.
including creators of
yeah.
the shows themselves.
You
Yeah,
wanna,
well,
Okay.
it's like almost like it's almost like they're up there with like Ruby. With stuff. They're nut jobs. They're all nut jobs, and I just have to. This is why I'm just a bit like whatever. If they're upset, it's like yeah, fine. I don't care. It's like it's like so they're allowed to be upset, but when I get upset about stuff that I like, I'm a toxic male on the internet. So I know.
Yeah,
Cry me a river. But
you're oppressing
Anyway,
females every day.
Sins of the Father, the trope. Yes, Sins of the Father, the trope, the video, the stuff that we're supposed to be doing.
yes, let's get back to that. Okay, 2 more chats. Super chats, and we'll get back to it. Kyle Rocket, then you guys must hate Eminem when he raps fast. I only remember
Yes.
Rap God, so
Yes.
that's where he raps really quick. So I don't know the rest.
I can't stand rap. I think it's crap. Yeah.
All right,
Wow.
I actually do like it.
I'm not
You know,
a big fan of rap. I love '90s rap actually because it's really cool, and clean. The first time I heard it,
Oh yeah.
and we had some rappers actually from Toronto, which I liked. Maestro Fresh West.
Oh, like
Canadian rappers. Oh my god.
Believe it or not, we've got some good people in R&B and all sorts of other great musicians over here in Toronto and Ontario. So.
Did they swear?
Yeah.
Little apologistic.
They did? Wow.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of rap in the first place, but I have a hard time imagining rap being great even for rap when you constantly say you're sorry.
This is
Sorry about that.
part of that.
I'm hitting in the hood. Sorry about that. I popped the cap in there. I'm sorry about that.
Better than most rap today.
Well, we have a very famous guy named Drake who knows his stuff, and he's pretty well known in general in the music industry. So
that guy.
Oh, not Nathan Drake? Oh, okay.
not the gaming world, no, unfortunately. So anyway,
No,
not a
the
big
white
deal.
guy.
She stole
The
my
black guy.
honey. She stole my maple.
Honey and maple. I don't know where you're getting that information from there, but maybe if you go to a duty free shop.
Yeah, what do they rap about? Because I'm not rapping
Yeah, what
about
did they
drugs,
actually
are they?
rap about in? What did they rap about in Canada?
The usual.
I took my moose to the hills and I drove it down the forest. Yo.
Mostly about life
Yo,
and
dog.
romance and money and death and relationships. The usual stuff that everyone sings songs about for the past thousands of years. So no big deal.
Yo, Trudeau, my N-word guy. That's
We're so oppressed. F the police.
fuck the Mounties. That's what we say. No need to...
What did they ever do to you?
Okay.
Toronto is my city.
As far as my city, Ontario can suck my cock or something. I don't know.
Oh boy. Well, guys, go to YouTube.
I don't want to suck your cock.
Just go to YouTube,
hell?
search Drake. I'm sure you'll find some good music. We might not. I have no idea. It's well known. Either way.
Sicko mode.
Are you actually trying to say, Smud Boy, that in the 90s you were a rapper?
No.
Little Smud Boy?
No, absolutely not. No.
Lil
Is that where the name came from?
Biggie Smud. Or
What
something.
I'm saying is I appreciated all kinds of music, and rap
Smutting him.
was one of them in the 90s. And it was good. It was clean. It had good beats. I liked it.
It was wholesome. It was family content.
It was for It was for everyone. Yeah. Technically, yes. There was no swearing.
Well, yeah. Mhm.
So
Friendly rap. It sounds odd.
anyway.
Yeah.
Mike Testa. We got guys. Slow down with the money. We got to start here. Mike Testa. Wrong. The later seasons severely ruined the first. How am I not surprised? In these shows you're talking about with crazy stories and horrible characters.
Isn't it? I have no idea which one you're talking about, Mike Tester, but it's true for all of them.
Yeah. So don't get so invested in these crazy animations where everything's magenta or pastel color. They don't end well. Anyway,
Just don't get invested in anything at all. Just be perpetually uninvested in stuff.
Just be a king,
You'll be a lot
man.
happier. You'll be a lot happier. Just never get connected to any story, and you'll be a lot happier. Just consume.
Yeah, just play Assault Android Cactus.
Yeah. Just consume. That's it. You'll be fine.
Anyway,
And get excited for next product.
Joe Crazy.
Yeah.
Drake, you mean the professor from Powderpuff Girls? I don't know Powderpuff Girls. I can't tell you.
What?
I thought it was I thought it was like Pokemon Power Gambit or whatever the hell that would have been. But anyway, Powerpuff Girls. Yeah, I learned that acronym just yesterday. So anyway, Hell Rocket. I just love how Eminem dissed MGK so hard he switched music genres. Really?
Yes. Yes.
For
Machine
real.
Gun Kelly. That was hilarious. Machine Gun Kelly, I do a rap. Eminem, I'm going to end this guy's entire career. Machine Gun Kelly. Well, I guess I'm into opera now.
Really?
That was the best.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know the history of these guys, but he does. These guys are
There's
very
not much
talented.
history. Yeah, but there's not much history between those two. It's just really weird. It happened for 6 months, and it was like it just completely destroyed the guy's career. It was like I can never do a rap song ever again. It's like okay. So instead, I'm going to make a song with Meg.
He was trying to talk
into another
about his daughter
genre
or whatever.
through the barrier.
Oh yeah. Machine Gun Kelly was talking about Eminem's daughter, who I keep having to remind myself is only a couple of years younger than me.
Yeah.
And that's really weird. So Eminem took that personally and just decided to destroy the whole guy's career, which is okay, that's fine.
That's a bad move.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's I'm not going to cry about Machine Gun Kelly's career failure because he made another song with his girlfriend who happens to be Megan Fox. So, poor
really?
guy. Yeah, poor guy. He's just a millionaire who's shagging Megan Fox. Nah. I send my sympathies and my condolences on the death of your rap career. The roses are in the post.
The plebs have to have sympathy for the royals. That's how the world works.
Oh yeah.
Nope. I don't even like my own royals. I'm not going to pretend to like American royals.
For some strange reason, Canadians love the royals. I don't know why, but it's none of our business. But
Queen's
fine.
The rest of them are just parasites.
Oh dear.
Well, you still have all the cool rights in Canadian Parliament, like that golden club that you have to have, unless and if you don't, you can't make law.
You have to knock on the door with. It's weird. Yeah, I don't know these rituals we have in Parliament, but it's guy with a big hat, big club, knocks on a door.
And
yeah,
I knew it once. It's the big golden club is representative for some type of marshal or something, and if that's not present, that's because that's representative for the guy, and the guy is representative for the queen or something, and that's because if you don't have it around, you can't make law. I forgot the details. I looked it up years ago.
Of the Governor General, but the Governor General doesn't carry it in. Someone else represents the government. Yeah, it's all this nonsense. I don't worry about ritual and ceremony. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Don't worry. The government is is very religious and mythological if you think about it, because it's all about doing the ritual properly. And if you don't do the ritual properly, you don't have a law, or something didn't actually happen, or a contract doesn't work, because it's all like following through a ritual to get a blessing from the gods. If you don't observe the ritual correctly, then you don't get the blessing, or the god is angry with you. So you don't want to do that. You have to do it right.
It's all just
the only way socialism
law is
can
pretty much the same thing.
It's all just
goes back to Rome.
Yeah, it's all just handouts to various provinces because some guy had a problem and some guy owns a business and yada yada. Money gets exchanged and you're like, oh great, thanks for the debt, guys. That's great. Thank you very much. Although I'm glad that our debt is minor compared to the States and the UK and all other countries I've ever seen. So Canada's pretty bad, but not that bad. So
yeah, I know.
I thought you don't have elections anymore.
That's a good question. I don't know. We might have one this year. We're not sure yet.
I prophesied this a year ago that this whole shit will be at this point about a year ago.
We should have
that there will not be that countries will stop doing elections and we will have Merkel for eternity. Because she said this will be her last election cycle. And I'm pretty sure she said the truth. She will keep that seat until she's dead.
So, well, and considering how much she shakes about in videos, it might be too far away. But anyway,
either way, I will be proven right.
But Sins of the Father.
All right.
Sarcastic Productions.
All right.
All right.
I think we should start.
I gotta. They keep saying the super chat, so I do apologize. But it's Mike Testa's.
Oh yeah. I'm so sorry you're getting money, Smudge.
It's always Mike Testa's fault.
And I'll pour you.
It's always Mike Testa.
Remember, guys, Smud doesn't get all the money.
Unless you go through the.
He gets more than me, so it's.
Well, this isn't about you, is it?
Anyway, 2 more from Mike. Here's Mike Testa. Well, maybe Rooster Teeth shouldn't have early showings then, huh? The consequences are in front of their eyes, and they should have known better. Tisk, tisk. It really depends on what these products are anymore, because once you introduce someone to something like Steven Universe, like, oh, this is going to appeal to these people, how long will this go on for? Can you get funding for that? Can you get sponsors for that? And how long? It must have been like 3-4 years, Steven Universe, at least, something around there. So
too long.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so
too long.
It must have hit some demographic. So I don't care about these shows. They could be great. They could be horrible. If someone likes it, good on them. Someone's making a living for a few years. Some animators, great, fantastic stuff. But does it add anything to the cultural milieu of cartoons? Aside from,
I have to admit
barely anything.
I have to admit the setup of Steven Universe I found kind of interesting, but it went into a completely different direction than I thought, and it was everything they set up was wasted. Because all the female characters that are raising Steven, they're so flawed. They have psychological issues galore, and the show could have focused on them growing beyond that. But it's just insane.
Wait. Sorry to interrupt, but like, why are those women, like, supposedly gems, are like raising Steven when he has a father still?
I never got to the point where I figured that out. I watched, I think, until 3rd season, and it still wasn't clear why his father was just living out of a van, running
because it's the same town. Because it's the cliche plot of a half human, half not human, who the non-human side thinks that should take priority over his humanity.
Maybe.
Okay. But where did Steven live before the gems got to him?
The van, I guess.
Always the gems.
I think it was the van at first, and then they built the house.
Hold on. We've got to ask one major serious question here. Who the fuck actually cares? Let's get on with the video.
We know you don't. Moving on.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, I suppose this will come up in this video in some
it probably will.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's your fault, Hawk.
Yeah.
I never understood the setup because the father is actually he actually loves his kid. He is actually caring about his kid. Yeah. So I don't understand why they're not living together.
Okay.
Fox says, "Who the fuck actually cares?" The video brings it up. Moving on. Let's start this.
Mike, stop sending money, please, so we can get on with the video. When you have a
Send it to Streamlabs.
When you have a show about fighting monsters, you never go for the race allegory in the later seasons because it sets you up for failure and plot corners.
He's right.
I'm not sure about that.
I gotta think about that. Do you mean the monsters are racially unique, or are you talking about like the idea of
just the
orcs?
species of the species of the gems in general?
Oh, because
all the subcategories.
Okay, because usually when we have dumb people talk about D&D is no longer for geeks and whatever because the orcs represent black people or whatever, and they're minorities and. So maybe people were drawing connections between that show and some monsters that could have been racially profiled. I don't know. That's a weird way to look at cartoons where you're fighting generic mooks, which are nameless and brainless, and they're monsters, and they look... The idea of orcs or the idea of representing black people, which is a little weird. So I don't...
From the get-go, that's just a stupid argument. Case in point.
I don't think any animator.
The thing, they see it completely turned upside down. Because the whole idea of all these different races in Dungeons and Dragons and similar things is that you overcome the differences. That's the point of all these. You learn to see past the prejudices of the different people and cultures and work together as a group. That's the whole bloody idea.
Right. That's part of it. Anyway, couldn't answer that very well. I don't know. More to Mike. Slow down, Mike, please. So does that mean I am Joel because I caused this?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Next question.
Because the gems are dirty sun-stealing aliens. Holy
fuck.
Well, that's the meme though, but that's not actually what happens.
Okay.
All right.
Guys, please calm down. We got to get with the video. We have another super chat.
Send it through Streamlabs.
And then we have one donation from Streamlabs. Very smart. Thank you, tall person. No, I will not stop giving you money. All your co-hosts should get a Streamlabs so I can give them money as well. You know, guys, it's free. You just open it up. You have a donation box. And you know what? I could do that. I could put your name in the description and put a donation box straight to your Streamlabs. And you can.
I do it for free because this is a communist channel. So
communist channel.
Oh,
God.
So anyway, I'm a communist now.
Because I can't sleep.
I don't remember that vote, comrade.
I support communism.
Oh God. All right, one more. The Mechanist, and then we're going to start with the video. Lego went woke.
Yes, please.
Lego went woke. When did Lego go woke?
Did they? How?
Since the beginning.
They're freaking blocks. How do you go woke?
We should
How do you
ask.
go woke?
Lego.
How do you go woke with building bricks? With building bricks? How?
Hold on. Lego stopped releasing any sets that had police officers in it, didn't they? Last year.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the sets with police officers was one of their initial successes when they started out, kind of an irony there.
Because of Black Lives Matter and stuff. Yeah.
Oh dear. Were they?
How do they care? They're dating.
Oh no.
On Twitter, were they one of those big black JPEG guys with we support Black Lives Matter? Here's our JPEG. Yada yada yada.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh,
Look in the Discord.
Okay.
So look at this.
Wow. What is that?
That is a rainbow with shit on it.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
And pink
Stupid
and
fuck.
white.
Holy jeez. I've never seen it. Looks like Crayola. If I saw that, I would imagine.
Except even Crayola isn't this blatantly obvious.
Yeah, I thought that Crayola and Lego had a get together and started selling, I don't know, Lego tops to their markers or something. And
Yeah, like releasing like the full set of color Legos just for the hell of it. But no.
The insane thing is this is a set you can buy.
It is, yes.
People are silly with them,
and it has absolutely no creative appeal. It's just there to collect dust.
And so those are just long, there's lots of Lego blocks. This one is just a bunch of long, colored, smooth tiles, and then the normal blocks, and then that's it. It's just literally to display a bunch of characters that are just one color.
That have no faces.
That's kind of weird.
With weird hairstyles.
Why would you want that? That's not fun. That doesn't look like fun to me. I want castles and spaceships.
Yes.
Dragons.
And caves.
I want to build stuff. I don't want to.
Someone probably still wants dollhouses.
Just go watch Power Rangers.
And little cities with lights in it.
All right.
A friend of mine loves these, and his mother. He got his mother into Lego, and now the house is slowly turning into a Lego museum of a little Lego town with lights in all the windows. And
okay, so who mentioned Power Rangers?
No, please don't. No more.
Oh, yeah.
No. All I'm gonna say is say what you want about Power Rangers. At least even that franchise has better written black characters than sequel trilogy Star Wars.
That is true.
All right. Okay.
Sure.
Yep.
Gingaman.
Anyway.
You know I'm right.
Let's.
Better. Stop saying something's better than the sequel trilogy. It's not that difficult.
So smart. What is the next super chat? You need to read it.
I need to read. Well, this is by Black Mercury. Thank you, Black Mercury. And it's all caps. And I don't know what it means. But Comrade Smud. I don't know what that means. Anyway, please, let's...
What does that mean?
No, I want to start.
How you say that word?
I don't get it.
Come on, let's actually get on with it.
Okay.
How long is the video?
Get on with it!
17 minutes.
Yeah.
17. Get on with it, Small. Just press play. I don't care.
This video is Fireblaze. The ramifications of this will be felt for generations to come.
Huh?
Revenge is a funny old thing. It's such a simple character motivation. At its heart, it's just anger in its purest form.
No. No, it's not.
No. Oh God, no! What the fuck is wrong with you, Red?
Already
You have
Jesus
Red.
Christ.
I have higher standards for you. You are actually someone with an actual brain. Revenge is not simply. What did she say? Anger?
Anger in its
Anger,
purest
yeah.
form. So what you don't do, again, there's these big general terms like pure and complete and true and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't use these words, guys.
Transcend.
Okay?
Red, anger, the purest form of anger is anger. That's unfocused. That's just a tantrum that goes in every direction, uncontrolled, against everything, everyone, including yourself. It does not discriminate. Revenge is focused. Revenge can be wrath. There's a very big difference between anger and wrath. And revenge is a special form of wrath.
Yeah, revenge is a...
My God, you are a writer? You
Yes.
should read a book
Is she?
of psychology.
Has she written anything?
Probably, I don't know.
I don't.
Yeah, she wrote the... Remember her book? She called it Revenge. It's pretty much just anger.
No, I'm sorry. Just popped into my mind. I have this. I couldn't name it, but I have this feeling as if she had. If she doesn't, I have to take that back. But
Aneurysm?
Because she strikes me as competent enough about these things. Like, what the hell is... Seriously.
It was all a play, Wisp.
Revenge and anger are not the same thing. Oh my God.
Revenge is happiness.
Revenge is an applied form. It's a channeled form of anger. It knows where to go. It can be obsessed. It can be obsession.
Anger's like the
anger
first
by
step.
itself is just a tantrum.
If you want to say shock and awe or whatever you want to call the first step to revenge, it's, oh my God, my father was killed. And then it's just pure pain. And then you go through these steps of acceptance of what is going on in your life. And when you talk about revenge, there's that famous saying, revenge is a dish best served cold.
Dish best served cold, yep.
Because at that point, you have committed yourself to this one function of destruction of whoever caused this, to right the wrong. It doesn't matter if it's legally or brutally or whatever. That is what you want to see in a character. So when we have a story like The Last of Us Part 2, and the whole story is this one girl just killing her humanity, just murdering everyone in sight. And then when she gets to the goal of her revenge, and she just gives up because she had a thought. Yeah. This is where things break down.
I'm actually quite surprised. Hold on, I'm quite surprised you said The Last of Us, and you didn't actually say what I thought you were going to say.
Part 2?
Because I thought you were going to bring up The Princess Bride.
Well, that's
because that The Last of Us example. That is in effect in the end just anger. That's just a temper tantrum because it doesn't even care about getting to the person that's really the reason for it all.
Well,
if it was truly revenge, if it was truly wrath, she would have ended the source of her nightmare.
It's kind of like justice through depression because you don't feel anything after a certain point of what your goal is so far away or so difficult, and you just have your eye on it the entire time. It's kind of like I have a dream. I'm going to climb a mountain. That's all I have in my head is to climb that mountain. Same with revenge. There's nothing else in my life. I don't think beyond the mountain.
Well, that's
I don't understand
Princess Bride is a good idea of showing revenge.
That is a classic. Yeah, I would say that's a great example, just because it's simple. It's very clean.
But also because he does actually say, I don't actually know what I'm going to do now, but I've got my revenge. His
entire life has been focusing on killing this one guy. He doesn't know how to do it. He needs the resources. Mm-hmm. This is very similar to the first murder mystery of Sherlock Holmes, actually, the murder. What he ends up doing, studying Scarlet. He dedicates his life. Yes. He needs money. He needs resources. He has to figure out what this guy is. He's got to work at that. He's got to, plan out how to kill him and all these things. And he doesn't do it in a direct sense. He does it in a very random way. So it makes it as if it's fate that this man will die if he chooses the poison pill. And very strange way of dedicating your life to revenge. And it's all based off of chance. So interesting stuff, how you play out, how crazy revenge makes you, and what you feel and what you would do for it. So
yeah, and that's of one of my favorite examples is the perfect depiction to illustrating the difference between revenge, or rather wrath. Wrath seeks revenge usually, and anger, and that you see in Asura's Wrath, hence the title. And Asura's wrath, his actual wrath, is aimed at the people who wronged him, the people who killed his wife, the people who stole his daughter and imprison her and torture her, essentially. And throughout the story, he gets closer and closer to the source of all of this, which he doesn't know in the beginning. Because in the beginning, he doesn't even know what's really going on. However, he is not lashing out at absolutely everyone. He is even saving people on the way, innocent people. He is making up with a former friend of his who backstabbed him. And his wrath, his anger is still going. Only once he has beaten this final true instigator of it all is when he even says at the end that finally his anger is gone, because this was the source of it. This guy that in the beginning he didn't even know, the one who controlled fate. And there are moments in the story where Asura completely loses his shit. That is when someone innocent that he cared about and who reminded him of his daughter was killed by one of the antagonists in just as a bystander, if you will. And he completely lost himself in his anger. That's not wrath anymore. And he turned into a fiery beast that looked exactly the same as the spirit of the planet in the game, which is an antagonist on the way. That is also just pure anger. This is also even a reference just before this final fight, that the manifestation of the planet's anger looks like Asura when he's lost his control. And so the difference between wrath and anger is anger lashes out at everything indiscriminately. Wrath has a target, which is the target for your revenge, or the target for whatever you must do to restore the world. Either way, it's the same thing. It's directed. It is focused.
I tend to bring up the example of Hamlet just because it's more classical and people might have heard of it by now. This sense of revenge drives you mad. It drives the other people around you mad. It drives them to murder as well. So that's not necessarily the case with all stories, but when you're
Hamlet, isn't that like the Lion King?
Oh yes, it is.
Sorry, I derailed Smud then.
Because Lion King is Hamlet.
I'm trying to think of the comparison. I'm like, crazy uncle doing.
Smud, we both know it's not. It's just the fact that we had that go about because everyone always brings it up that Lion King's based on Hamlet, and we're always like, no, it's not. But carry on anyway.
I would say
it was in official interviews though. Like
really?
I was like shocked as well at like oh god, like they actually compare this to.
I would say
people actually believe it, and that's how I've realised that most people in the world are idiots. So I just go, yeah, okay.
Anytime there's an uncle in that
I thought Teska said his White Lion was inspired by Shakespeare.
Sure.
Kimba the White Lion.
Yeah, you can go back to Jason and the Argonauts. The same idea. The uncle takes over the homestead of Jason's and tells him to go get the golden fleece. He has to go on a quest, yada yada, come back and kill everyone. Yeah, whatever. Same idea.
Darmok Angelad. Yes.
Everything like Star Trek, yeah.
Going a bit outside the issue.
Anyway. Good stuff. Mike Testa again. I don't think you can take my money, Smud Daddy. No, but you're giving it to me anyway. So
yeah.
Anyway, thank you. I'm not going to say no, but I just
send it through Streamlabs, people. Come on.
Yeah, Mike doesn't care. He's like, I'm going to spend money 30% to YouTube. I don't care. I'm crazy.
Someone in the chat, Loki's son Serpent Venom said, "Fate has brought me here. I fear nothing. I hope for nothing. I will have my revenge." Quoted Kratos. I'd say Kratos is more a depiction of anger and not wrath. Maybe he talks about revenge at the gods that did this to him, but unlike Asura, he doesn't give a shit about anyone on his quest.
He is rage.
Asura's wrath is just Japanese God of War.
Rage. He's just rage. He has his goal, but he does not have the virtues that Asura has.
Yep.
All right. Here's Mike Testa. Did somebody say I had a dream? Nanomachine, son.
We always come back to Senator Armstrong, aren't we?
Oh, dear. What a dream. What an American dream. Okay. One more from the Mechanist. Speaking of revenge, Lego has a contest to have your build become a set. I plan to enter, and if I win, I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. Revenge. What exactly is your idea of a Lego revenge that you would make?
Man fall into the river in Lego City. Start rescue.
No. If the revenge would be like a really small foot-shaped thing that like hurts Lego pieces.
What?
If he wins,
you step on
Lego. Well, have you?
If he wins,
have you ever stepped on Lego?
To Lego?
Sure.
He's probably going to be invited to Lego, and then he will cross the Lego Con.
Oh.
Yeah. The Lego.
Sure.
Like, that was terrible.
He's going to be a Roman centurion. He's going to cross the Lego.
Still working on this, okay.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
12 seconds.
Anyway, let's go.
Character A experiences something very bad and is thus filled with rage and decides to direct that rage out at Character B, who they hold responsible. It's theoretically okay because Character B deserves to experience something bad because they did something bad to Character A. Character A's garden variety anger at experiencing something painful magically transforms into righteous fury once it's being directed at somebody who deserves it. But the thing about anger is it doesn't actually handle being directed very well. Sure, theoretically Character A will be able to target all their righteous fury at the villainous Character B, but sometimes in the process it turns out that Character B actually isn't responsible. Well, then what's Character A supposed to do? The reasonable thing...
Then it's not righteous anymore, so that's fine.
Yeah, then you move on to the next one. This is exactly what happens in the story of Asura's Wrath, where he beats up Yasha, or gets beaten up by Yasha at first, to the point, I think in the first battle, Asura doesn't even have arms anymore. So he's just kicking him.
This is very typical of subplots, where you have a side character who wants to kill you, or the hero of a story, and it's like, I don't know who you are, I didn't kill your village, I didn't do this or that, and they try to figure this out, who is really in charge of this event, who caused it, and that's a mystery.
Yeah.
And they go on with you, oh, well, we're also trying to defeat the evil whatever. Happens a lot in manga, so it's fairly straightforward, but she just changed her formula.
It's like the people who blame like current generation Americans for like what they did centuries ago.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, because they see America as the guys who did bad stuff in Kuwait or Vietnam or whatever, and they always have that stigma on them just for being American.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. At the same time...
Yeah, because it seems like a very abstract revenge story.
Yeah, at the same time, people aren't dumb. They're not going to start blaming young kids for what happened 50 years ago, even though associate it with America or associate it with a country. And I'm sure young soldiers, people going in, don't have any of that malice. They don't sort of look at what happened in Germany and say, well, I'm not going to hate Germany for what happened in World War II. That's ridiculous. Or Vietnam.
No, I just hate them because they're Germans. Ugh. No offense, but
give me your beer, goddammit! Give me your beer. We never get any of the good stuff.
You can have all the North German Pilsner I
don't want Pilsner.
Nobody wants the piss water.
I want the Fest box and the Offenbox and all these other beautiful box.
Smud, can you now understand why I just don't like the Germans? Even when they're trying to be like nice with quotation marks, they still give shit. Just terrible people.
Here's some Rattler. I have enough Rattler. We're good.
No, German cuisine is just shit.
South German cuisine is pretty bad as well.
What did you just say about German cuisine?
North
German
cuisine.
Well, I
never had good food in northern Germany.
I like lots of schnitzels and various kinds of pastas from Germany, and
that's sound.
Austria has some great cakes.
That's all right.
So
the good pasta you get in the south.
All right, I don't know where they come from. But
the best cuisine is that from northern South Korea.
Which comes from America.
Very thinning. Very thinning, and you don't put on much weight. So
anyway, regarding the video, I have a. She starts the whole video on the wrong premise. She should have started making the distinction between anger and wrath. So instead, she goes into this weird thing where she figures out that righteous anger isn't actually good because you lash out at everyone. That is already a wrong statement. It's just anger that's undirected. Yep, anger is undirected. Just because you figure out that the guy you're currently focusing your anger on actually doesn't deserve it, doesn't mean that your anger will go away or anything.
I think
you will just want to figure out where it is actually supposed to go.
I think if she wanted to have an analytical approach to everything, she would have defined every one of her terms so that we know exactly where she's coming from. Because she just says anger. And I'm like, well, anger can mean many things based on context. I use a general concept of anger. Anger is not feeling this or that. It's a mental reaction to the universe thinking differently than you do. I could characterize it many ways. So give me a certain context, because all she said was righteous fury or righteous. I was like, that's very specific.
Yeah, and I'm not yet sure about this, but the way I've started to put it is that the smallest form of anger is frustration.
Confusion, frustration.
That's where it starts.
One of those mental operations where you're not sure why reality occurred the way it did. So
and frustration does not need to turn into a tantrum,
right,
which would be anger, pure anger.
So
it does not need to turn into wrath.
So already
maybe there is no one to direct it at. Maybe the frustration lies solely with you because you figure out, I fucked up. Then you are frustrated with yourself.
Right. So we have
you're not necessarily angry with yourself. If you're angry with yourself, you're not gonna improve yourself as much as if you just stay at the frustration level.
So it's kind of like trying to articulate this emotion and understanding the intensity of that emotion and why it's being directed all over, or as opposed to where it should be directed. And that's part of a mystery of the story. It's like, why did my village burn down when I went to go fishing, or who killed my sister? Like, it's very mysterious, and you have to include that so that it's not just Smud angry, me go kill person who killed sister. Like, that's not really helpful. It's not very interesting. You want some aspect of mystery. So this ongoing emotion, this ongoing rage or revenge or vengeance, whatever you want to call it at that point in time, has to be developed. So we use these emotions in murder mysteries a lot. When you say, why did you kill this person at the end of the story? They had a long time coming of this whole story of this guy committing this crazy plot of revenge. And they tell you their backstory, why they did it, because that is what we want to know. We want to know why things are happening in the story. We don't just want, I am angry. That's not enough. You need more to explain the behavior.
I'm angry. Well, thanks, Hulk. Anyway, I want a proper story.
Yeah, essentially. Anyway, good luck on your revenge there, the Mechanist, making your Lego set. Cool stuff. 2 more. Kyle Rocket. That's exactly what they do nowadays. It's called being guilty by association. That's also the main summary of Sins of the Father. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay. Hopefully she'll get into that. Here's the Mechanist again. Wisp, I liked that joke. Yes, you meet the you get to meet the designers. I'm going to bring a file full of pride sins. Fire the designer to be the pro pedo toy.
Oh.
The what? Oh, sorry. Fire the designer or be the pro pedo toy.
I don't know what that means. It scares me.
I don't. Yeah.
Isn't it pedo bear?
Revenge. You do you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good luck, sir.
Yeah.
Knock them off their perch, whatever it is, but have fun. All right. Let's go.
Might be to let go of the anger and move on. But if character A has been letting that anger drive them, that's not such an easy thing to do. But character A's anger can no longer be righteously directed at character B. It's not righteous fury if the target of that fury doesn't actually deserve it. If character A unleashes their vengeance on the undeserving character...
No. It was righteous fury until you figured out, oh, that's not the right guy.
Yeah,
then you may even feel sorry for it.
So she changed her formula here. It's now general fury, which is... I don't know, that confusion at that point? What is it?
That would just be anger.
Yeah.
Because the wrath still, because someone is responsible for it, the wrath is now looking for the new target. Mm-hmm. It's not general fury. It's maybe a bit more frustrated because you even made a mistake here. But it's still directed. It's still focused. It just has lost the target, but it's still laser focused. And that's not destructive evil. That's just the wrong target. And a good character will give a shit of having hit the wrong target, or maybe knock the target out into turning around and seeing the error of his ways.
Right, and we're not
same
talking
difference.
about...
Then it was a correct target.
We're not specifically meaning a well-written character. We mean a person with a conscience, because their conscience, if they are conscious of what is happening, they are invested so heavily in this revenge story that they are only going to take revenge on who deserves it. They're not going to start blanketing murder just because this person is the cause in this general area. So I'll take out another village. So this is why it makes sense to have a character with a conscience who's enacting revenge. It is very specific.
That's the difference to Kratos. Kratos doesn't give a shit whether his targets on the side were innocent.
Yeah.
You can say, he is a destructive evil. Because he doesn't even know where to get it. He just stumbles to the next god thing.
I think the joke behind the God of War story is like, let's have all this mythology and just kill it. Let's just kill everything on the pantheon, all the mythological beasts, all the minor characters that we hear about in mythology. And then
except Aphrodite.
Well, they use her for other reasons. But it's like, let's just go crazy. Let's just murder everyone. So
it's a Greek pantheon's apocalypse, which is why the Norse gods are a little, let's say, unsure about Kratos being in their domain. Because, oh god, is he going to do the same here?
Well, at that point, they've changed Kratos, right? He's no longer this crazy murdering lunatic. He now
he's as much of a warrior as he's ever been. He's just more mellow after the whole millennia of just him calming the fuck down.
Well, he has a son and then he had a wife too.
Yeah, it's all right, but you have to look at it from the perspective of the Norse gods. From their perspective, the guy who just killed all the Greek gods is now setting up shop here.
Yeah, but when do they discover that he's there? At the end of the game? Because that's when it's like the story's supposed to show up 3 years from now in relation to the game.
Well, when they change the voice actor and the premise of the story and the gameplay, it's no longer the same thing. So it's a whole other, it's a different experience. I'm not saying it's a bad experience.
Well, no one's arguing that it is the same thing. That's the thing.
Yeah, so it's its own creature. They just still called it God of War, and the name's stuck, and they know the character's the same, yada yada.
It's only because that's the name of the franchise at this point.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but it's not the same. So.
Same.
But that was the whole intention from the beginning, so I can't fault them for that.
Right. It's a reboot. We get it. Fine.
It's not a reboot. It's
supposed to be a continuation.
It is a continuation. Yes,
it's a sequel, but it's
definitely a sequel.
It's a sequel
for like the previous game inside.
Yeah, literally just thousands of years after God of War 3.
Thousands of years.
Thousands, yes.
I don't know. I really don't.
Okay.
I don't know the time scale, but
all right.
It's a continuation, and even though it's not the same voice actor, I think, and Kratos has aged, so maybe he changed his voice a little. I don't care. I think in this instance, because I think Tiag has made a good job.
Yes,
I think he fits the dad character very well.
I think Christopher Judge meets up the quiet, stoic fighter guy. Yeah, pretty much. Does a good job there. Okay. Boy.
Not to be confused with Arthur Morgan's boy.
Oh, I know, right? Wait till Kratos says, Lenny!
Oh my god, it's like Shepherd Rex. It's Kratos and Arthur just going, boy.
The game wouldn't have sold as well had I just called it Dad of Boy.
Well, it's as simple as it's as simple as getting Fred Tatasciore and Chris Judge in the same room and just getting them to do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
But where's Gavin?
That's not vengeance anymore. That's just hurting someone innocent, which is an unequivocally bad thing to do. Even more unfairly, sometimes Character B does deserve that vengeance, but Character B isn't available for some reason. Like maybe Character B is already dead, for instance. Or Character B is available, but unleashing the vengeance on them will definitely hurt the unrelated and entirely innocent Character C. What's Character A supposed to do with all that anger now that there's nowhere righteous to put it? Fundamentally, vengeance is an ultimately selfish act, an attempt to soothe an injured soul by hurting the injurer right back. Vengeance has a twist of justice to it, framing that crusade as a matter of fairness or
oh no, Red, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's why you focus yourself on vengeance, because it's the whole Ra thing is also about restoring the order of the world. It's not just about ego and your ego being slighted. That's narcissistic rage. But if the world has been broken by corruption, tyranny, despotism, your family unjustly destroyed, your reputation destroyed, you being used as a scapegoat, then it is not just simply egotistical. It is not just about the self. It is about correcting the world, maybe even freeing the world from the tyranny that did the thing. We're talking about stories here. That also means we talk about grand stories. And you're the one analyzing the grand stories. So you should, I would expect you to be aware of this, not just condemn anger like some emotionally abusive parent that tells the kid, oh, don't ever be angry because it's bad. That's how you stunt development of people, of kids, and also of adults. And then they have to relearn in therapy that anger is a valid emotion that has its place in maybe not in every day, but in situations where it is justified. It starts with frustration and all these other levels you slowly explore. And then when you get the balance again, then you become a healthy human being again. As far as you've gone into this here right now so far, it sounds like you're saying anger always bad, stifle it, destroy it, suppress it. And that is what makes people broken inside. And really, some snap, some kill themselves. Anger has a place. And it's not just selfish. Anger is, in the better forms, what protects you against a bully. Whether that's a physical bully or a psychological bully. If you deprive yourself of it completely, you will be helpless. You will be spineless not because you don't have courage, but because you cannot even defend yourself, because you become a pathological pacifist. You need anger. It has its place. It is what protects you. It is just when it goes overboard that it becomes a destructive thing. Sorry, I'm going on a rant about this, but what the fuck is she got?
Thank you.
And you're looking very
It doesn't
angry
really
here,
make
Ren.
any sense.
You're looking very angry here. What's with your eyebrows?
Yeah,
If she's angry, but not anybody else.
Well, one of the main things is there is still a difference between revenge, vengeance, and justice, and I feel that most people seem to think vengeance is revenge because Batman says it a lot, and everyone automatically assumes all his stuff is a quest for revenge, and it's like, no, there's different with everything. But they have.
Well, Batman's just a nut job in his own right.
I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying
he's full of chicken soup. Come on.
Yeah,
all these words, from frustration to wrath, from justice to vengeance and revenge, and all these, they have all these slight connotations that are all important. They're all nuances.
Yeah. So
you can't. They're not all the same thing.
I think we have to.
If you say they're all the same thing, you are the bad guy here.
Yeah, I think her understanding of psychology is a bit limited, or understanding of people for that matter, to write about is a bit. I don't think she knows exactly that she's speaking from experience. She's trying to think of it from a trope perspective and say, well, this pattern could happen this way. Maybe she read about it because in TV tropes, for example, that has a list of examples that you can pour from, but it's not the same as when you actually think about what is this emotion, where is this used, how is it used.
But if you want to write, if you want to use the trope correctly in your writing, then you need to understand these nuances.
Yeah. Anyway.
But one of the main things is like with TV tropes, I read it quite a lot. I enjoy it, but it's most of them are just other people's descriptions of what they think is the trope in a certain media. It doesn't mean it is definitely that. So that's where there could be a bit of confusion.
It's not even a summary at times. It's just sort of an anecdote, and you're like, that's fine, but it's not the detail of what it means of what happened in that scene. And that's why some of these tropes are either repetitive, like there's various tropes that mean the same thing, or the example is just slightly off, and people are trying to make sense of that, and it's just like, what is this really an example of a Deus Ex? I don't really think so. So it's hard to grasp at times because there's so many tropes. And I think, what's the one example for revenge? Count of Monte Cristo. There's so many things happening in that story. It's not just revenge. Like there's romance, there's imprisonment, there's money and war, and
the word vindication comes to mind.
Okay. There's lots of words for the same similar thing, and they're all nuanced. That's why we have these words.
Yeah, there's all a small. There's just small differences, but they're also big enough that if you get it wrong, the words mean completely different things. You know what I mean?
When I think about it, it's quite astonishing how many words we have for fighting in some fashion, because that seems to be struggle seems to be the defining factor of our existences.
Well, life is a struggle, so
yes. Well, that's that's every adventure. That's every hero's journey. Maybe that's why we need so many nuanced words for it.
All right, a minute 30 seconds. We're good. We're doing well.
Yay.
Or balance, bringing justice to an unjust universe. But while we can equivocate on the meaning of justice or fairness or deserving, none of that actually matters here, because vengeance is motivated by anger, and anger is an amoral emotion. It doesn't actually...
You can't put morals to emotions.
If we have righteous, fury, how is that immoral?
What?
Emotions have nothing to do with
the problem.
Morals.
Is so she said
Emotions
it's not
don't
an
care about
amoral
defense.
emotion. So she says it's either it's oh god puns. So if she says it's not an amoral emotion, then it is a moral emotion. Or she implies that there are amoral emotions.
Yeah, I think she means I think it means morally, anger is bad.
No, she said it's not an amoral emotion. Like if I give her the
amoral,
then we need to skip a little back, rewind a little. But if I think about what could be an amoral emotion, that might be jealousy, for example.
Jealousy is there's no morals with emotion. Jealousy can happen for even you can be jealous of someone because it's like, oh, this person's got a lovely family life. I'm jealous that they've got it because I don't think they deserve it. And then you got envy.
Oh no, that would be envy from my
no. Envy would be if you want it.
Like if you want to be white.
Okay, and maybe I'm mixing up words in the English language.
Or it could be me mixing up as well. But
I think what she's trying to get at is the action as a result of the emotion. So it's like, I want to hurt this person. I want to kill this person. That would be immoral.
Yeah, that's not.
I just wanted to clear up the jealousy thing, because one of the two is just, I would like to have this as well. That has no evil part to it. The other version of this is
I want to take it.
I want it, and I don't want you to have it. One is envy, the other is jealousy, and I know I keep mixing them up sometimes. Maybe I'm now, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But that's the difference. One is also says I don't want you to have the thing, regardless of whether I can have it.
But my thing is, like, when Smudge, your example of I want to hurt this person isn't in a moral thought, because there's certain times when that wouldn't be a thing. It's like, if this person is attacking you, you will think, I want to hurt this person back because I will defend myself. That's not immoral.
We call that retribution, because they did something and you want to enact some form of justice.
But also in wars, you've got to get angry to want to kill somebody. You've got to psych yourself up. The soldiers psych themselves up to kill people in battle. Does that make all the soldiers immoral going into battle? You know, that is what I mean. Yes. You can't really. Once you shut up. Once you try and put morals into emotions, it all becomes so blurred with, like, there's so many. The minute you start having contradictions, shows the fact that you can't put the thing into this thing.
Yeah.
Morals and emotions aren't linked together with stuff.
Yeah, if you give this his hypothetical example, if my emotions want me to kill my rapist, who is also the rapist of my little sister, is that amoral? Mm-hmm. Whether you apply that is another question, and whether you even or whether you just pursue this to enact justice in order to lock whoever did that up for life. That's a different question, but the emotion is still there, because that's a primal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Rewind a little, because I want to be sure she said what she said.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, by the way, Wisp, when she says amoral, she's not saying amoral. It's amoral. Yeah, amoral is all one word. What you're thinking says is it a moral thing?
No. I don't think that's what Wisp was saying. No.
No, but I think so, because we're rewinding now to make sure that's not what she said.
It's one word. Sure. It's one word.
Yes.
Or fairness or deserving. None of that actually matters here, because vengeance is motivated by anger, and anger is an amoral emotion. It doesn't actually matter to the anger if the person it's taken out on deserves it. Anger just demands an outlet. It's up to the person to choose a target for that outlet. And if you want to retain some semblance of morality, that means you have to find a target who you could argue deserves to be hurt. Vengeance.
Yeah, but that's the situation you just brought up, Red. Because that was wrath. That was directed. This is the thing I've been talking about since the beginning.
So,
is she deliberately writing it bad, or just to have something to say about what's going on?
Yeah, she just pointed out the fact that anger isn't an amoral thing then, because you can find an outlet for it to be moral. So it's just contradicted her last point.
So we're getting back to Wrath being a directed thing, because now she's going into Wrath.
Right.
Again,
I think
she said Wrath is just anger.
Right. I think the best thing we can all agree on is I don't think she understands many words.
Nah,
she seems to be using them like vengeance, wrath, all these like righteous. They all seem to point to the same thing, but it's.
Yeah, but it's also the fact that once you say something's, once you start doing all that, I think we should just skip on. So she starts talking about sins of the father, because I think we could be here all day trying to understand what word she means.
All right. just let her get on, because I find this interesting how she's doing these mental gymnastics here.
It's not mental gymnastics.
Because
I think it's
before, or was it a straw man, or what was she doing there when she said, but if the guy that your Wrath was aimed at turns out to be not the guy that deserves it, then your anger doesn't know where to go.
This is nothing more.
It still does know where to go. It wants to go at the source that caused you the harm.
This is a grade school level essay. The language she's using is interchangeable. If you got to a high school level, you'd use specific words specifically, and you would not touch other words. But she's using multiple words. She jumped into justice. What does that mean? Is that a court of law? Is that, there's all kinds of things we're jumping into here. So I think she's...
You know when you get an assignment for like 500 words, and you keep using longer words.
Really? That's she's doing.
Yeah. And it just sounds like she's doing that. She's like, I want to say bad, so I'll put terrible. That way, I've used more letters.
Yeah. Yes, totally. I agree with you here, and I am hellishly disappointed by her, because I thought higher of her than what she's doing right now. What the hell?
Anyway, 2 minutes. Let's go.
How the hell does this video has 44k liked?
Because they're
because those people never thought about this topic in the first place.
Understand it.
Right.
If you use big enough words, the idiots will think you know what you're on about.
Okay.
Justice, wrath, vengeance, revenge.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Right, you have to define these words, and you're not making a good job.
Bad revenge, good revenge,
the basic
justice.
Two concepts. Yeah. Right, you're not even defining the basic two words that you're talking about, anger and wrath, well from the onset. And all the other words you bring up into this, you're not defining as well. It's like you're just babbling to confuse.
Like this already caught on that 6 seconds after it was a contradiction.
Thank you.
What the?
All right. Let's keep going.
It frames itself as justice, but will be satisfied with the illusion of justice. An eye for an eye, no matter who that eye is from.
Bullshit.
If the actual wrongdoer isn't available, the avenger will often shift their focus to the next best thing. This is how we get the sins of the father situation, where someone is held responsible for actions they didn't do simply because they're connected to the person who did it. The archetypical sins of the father scenario is a child being held responsible for their parents' crimes, but it can be stretched to cover anyone being punished for someone else's actions.
That's a completely different
family
scenario.
Loved ones being targeted for their personal connection, to distant descendants being assigned some kind of bloodline curse, to any revenge by proxy that depends on the suffering of someone.
Bloodline curse?
Red, you're full of shit. Yeah. You're conflating. Right, you're conflating You're conflating wrath, which knows what it's on about, with blind rage and guilt by association.
Yeah, a lot of sins of the father stuff is nothing to do with revenge stuff. I mean, it's not really sins of the father, but sins of the grandfather as well. Ashley Williams in Mass Effect, her name's blacklisted because of her grandfather at Shang-Chi or whatever it's pronounced. Right. So that's still sins of the father/grandfather thing, but there's no revenge entailed with it.
Yeah,
it's just as Wisp says, guilt by association of the only colony to be. It's an embarrassment. So how does revenge fit into that one?
Guilt by association, letting out your anger or your thirst for revenge, which can be misapplied, If you do it like this through guilt by association, then it is nothing. Then it is nothing but an emotionally immature reaction. That is what villains do, yes. But an emotionally mature being would not do this. Would still keep looking for, okay, you are not responsible for my wounds. I will only go for the one who is responsible for my wounds, and everyone who's in the way to get there. So don't stand in the way. That's all, and that's why I would want Red to, after playing through God of War, the first game, which is that kind of wrath, that kind of rage, rather. Now I made the mistake. That kind of rage, and then play Asura's Wrath, which is the virtuous kind I just described. Asura is one of the most rage-filled beings that have ever existed, but his wrath is always focused on the target.
A good one where I say, like, where Sins of the Father is reversed is the Awakening expansion of Dragon Age Origins. If you're a human noble warden, because you get Nathaniel Howe, who's All Howe's son, in your party as a squad mate. And with that, the warden's like, your father did stuff, it's not you. You weren't even in the country. And all this happened. You had no idea. It's fine. Just redeem yourself. And like you can become friends with him. Like really good friends and allies. So that's good. That's a good change of a Sins of the Father, where it's revenge doesn't come up with anything. Because Nathaniel Howe expects you to want to take revenge. So when you don't, he's like confused with stuff. But yeah, Sins of the Father isn't necessarily just a revenge trope.
Just because
there's a lot that can go into it.
Yeah, definitely. And someone in the chat brought up spite as a word, to be spiteful towards the son over the father's past actions. That's probably more accurate a word to use.
That's like a
Ego Dreamer mentioned something more or less relevant to the whole thing. There is apparently a very good anime adaptation of the Count of Monte Cristo called Gankutsu.
Love that anime.
Maybe worth checking out.
Fantastic anime. Yeah, I liked it a lot.
But now I'm just reading what she's actually wrote down underneath the Sins of the Father. A vengeance seeker lacking a direct and justifiable outlet for their rage targets the next closest option for revenge.
Yeah, that's not wrath. That's just
but that's also like Sins of the Father. Like the thing with Sins of the Father is it's got to be a relative of the person. So that last bit could be, you could go for the next target, which could be an associate or a henchman, or
or you were in the same boardroom or something.
Yeah, you're in the same gang of people who blah blah blah, and it's like
that's not she's misdefining. Then she's misdefining Sins of the Father, and just conflating it completely with guilt by association.
Yes.
And Sins of the Father is, if anything, a special, a very special form of guilt by association. That's either a bloodline thing or a mentor thing. Like you've been the disciple of that, of the perpetrator. You can make the argument with that. Like you are the son in spirit. But that's not the same as being in the same gang, because that's a level of equals maybe, or just you are vaguely associated with the thing. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going.
Suffering of someone who has personally not committed their crime they're being punished. Now, the term sins of the father broadly originates in the Tanakh, where it appears in two specifically conflicting contexts. In Exodus, the sins of the father concept is brought up by God, saying he's a big fan of punishing the children for the sins of the parents to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me. But then in Ezekiel, which was written sometime later, God says the whole sins of the father thing has been deprecated and is no longer part of his policy for the 1.1 alpha release, and now he judges everyone based on their own merits rather than holding a generational grudge, saying, "Therefore I will judge you, O house of Israel, everyone according to his ways." So when it comes to the question, should the child be held responsible for the sins of the father, there is technically biblical precedent for both answers, but no is definitely the more justifiable one, since it came later and was written as a direct response to the original yes angle. And it's all...
Yes, that is true, because the Bible, if you... the Old Testament is... The simplest interpretation I would give it is, do not look at the characters, at all the humans going on, but look at the cognitive development of the God character, because that is turning from the tantrum throwing toddler into a more and more cognitively able, emotionally less immature. I'm not sure it ever reached emotional maturity, but a less immature being, and that's the relevant part. So yeah, Bible is important. That the whole original sin thing is essentially abandoned in it, which Christianity preached the other way around for centuries, and that is what many people's troubles with the church is. Even to this day, some denominations do that, and it is essentially the opposite of what the whole thing is about. But yeah, go on.
Also the one that is broadly more fair. Now, beyond its origins, the sins of the father trope has obviously developed pretty far and plays a role in most revenge stories, because, like we've discussed, revenge is motivated by anger, and anger is pretty notorious for causing collateral damage. If character B wrongs character A, and character A embarks on a quest for vengeance, character B is not going to be the only character who pays for it.
Okay, I've never seen this in a lot of murder mysteries. It's always very specific who gets killed and why. Sometimes in these murder stories you have multiple people getting killed, but it's as a result of either covering your tracks, someone knows who it is, or a line of succession, which involves a money payout. So it's not so much about revenge at that point, it's just because there's some inheritance that you're getting if you kill the next of kin.
Or sometimes if you want to win Village of the Year.
Hot fuzz? Yes. Okay, well, what I'm saying is...
I love that reference.
What I'm saying is that I have not encountered sins of the father at all in all of my murder mystery readings.
I think I have seen sins of the father, I think, twice at maximum in Midsummer Murders. But that's usually, surprisingly, it's usually the female variation of it, where it's sins of the mother. But what usually happens is the daughter isn't getting like killed or anything like that, but people around the daughter are getting killed to make out that the daughter is the murderer. And it's usually somebody that the mother wronged when, they were younger or something, and then the mother dies, and then the daughter comes back in, and something, usual crap and that sort of stuff. So I've seen it about probably twice, and that's a murder mystery show in the UK that's been running since 1995.
Yep.
And still runs now. So you can imagine how many episodes they've racked up.
I've seen quite a few. I know it's a very as far as murder mystery complexity goes, it's kind of like not bottom of the barrel, but it's just sort of mainstream that if you read murder mystery, this is like, oh God, come on, this is so obvious. So
yeah.
The closest I've seen this trope enacted is in old kung fu movies.
Really?
Where this whole and I couldn't even name you a specific example, but it is the culture in that time that is highly putting honor and dishonor on the family as a whole.
Right.
Like if your father or your son does a dishonorable thing, everyone is an eligible target of wrath.
You'll bring dishonor on our family.
Yeah, or if the father has done something, yeah, if the father has done something dishonorable to the guy, to the whether it's the villain or someone else, or the hero's mentor or something, then the revenge will also be enacted on the son of the one who slighted the other, or as it is often the case in these in kung fu movies, on members of the dojo of the other master. It's like a passive aggressive thing. Like, I can't get to you directly, so I'm gonna hurt people of your group or people you care about, and that's a very vile thing. That's not that is not the same thing as righteous anger or righteous wrath, as she says.
So I can't think of one example where this happens in a specific plot about murder or revenge. So
to be honest with you, I used to live with my grandparents, so I've watched a lot of murder mysteries in my time.
Yep.
I mean, a hell of a lot. I think I've seen every Murder, She Wrote episode, and that's a lot. Yeah, and I'm really struggling to think of any of the big ones where it's like this sort of stuff. And
you would have to have a deranged villain who's like, I must kill them all. They must all die. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? So that would have to be the plot. So I can't think of this exact trope.
Anything in Sherlock Holmes or anything like that? I'm just trying to think. He did try and do a few things differently, but even then, I'm a bit.
I can't think of one, honestly, not from Sherlock. No, I can't. I do know that the murderer gets it wrong, and they end up killing the cousin or the sister, but not
the wrong person.
Intentionally killing the family or an associate. I've never seen that.
Yeah.
So
you killed Son Goku. Rah!
Your father destroyed. Cut me out of a deal. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Makes sense to me.
And now Hawk got shot. Again.
Anyway, hopefully she'll give us an example, so that'll solve that. Let's keep going.
Hopefully.
Even if character is entirely focused on character B, the people in character B's life are going to feel the effects. Friends, loved ones, family. One way or another, the people who care about character B will feel the impact of the revenge plot, even if the only person character A directly targets is character B.
Okay, so now she's giving the example of John Wick. So John Wick goes and kills the son of the crime boss. Crime boss doesn't like that, goes after John Wick. That's not the same.
That's not
That's not
sins of the father.
Yeah, also Red, the situation you describe would also fit the situation where you are dealing with a very cunning abuser who you are right to direct your wrath at, but everyone who cares about said abuser has been manipulated, brainwashed into liking and caring about the abuser, because none of them know what this monster really is, that it's just wearing a mask. Yes, those people will also feel grief or wrath in return about you hurting your abuser. But that's justified. And from their point of view, their wrath will be justified. However, until they can find out that, the person I trusted and was protecting was actually a bad person, which is very hard to prove in reality. In stories, things are laid out so that can actually come to be. In reality, it's often almost impossible. But yeah, you're depriving people of that if you insist or insinuate that your anger is wrong because someone else might now be sad that the potential abuser in this case has now been hurt. Like you're telling people, just take the abuse and never retaliate. Just as I in the beginning feared, and wonderful, wonderful. The Jehovah's Witnesses will like your stance because they're a rape cult. They do exactly this.
Well, yeah, that is true. Actually, I have seen some of their stuff, and it's fucking.
That has been
terrifying.
proven in court very, very lengthily. With
Horny,
lots of child witnesses.
Mark, we know about this, don't we?
We know. We have seen the anti-masturbation video.
Yeah, we've seen all the videos. Because
not just that. I've looked into the court case in Australia. Like, what the fuck, man?
Well, Bears, Punished Bearserker.
He was really big on that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just bring it up as the most well-known example. Yeah. It's just Red. You have to be. You can't deprive someone of anger towards an abuser just because someone else might feel sad for the abuser getting hurt. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Red, you're not well.
All right.
Who are you protecting?
Anyway, I want a reference. I'm waiting for her to give me a reference here. Anyway, let's go.
Yeah.
Characters are thus being indirectly punished for sins they're not responsible for. But there are a lot of ways to handle revenge, and many of them are heavier on the collateral damage than the more precision-targeted version. For instance, sometimes the collateral is actually the point. Character A might seek revenge on Character B by actively targeting their loved ones to systematically strip away the things Character B cares about. This is much more common with villainous revenge plots, and let's actually...
Is she talking about superheroes?
That is what you defined as sins of the father,
isn't it?
This is
the secret association we just talked about. What the fuck is wrong with you? Are you even listening to?
Have to do with
this is the whole. Oh, I'm a superhero and I can't tell anyone who I am, or they'll know I have relationships and they'll target my friends and family. And you're like, what?
But isn't this literally like sins of the mother?
No, I guess.
Like Steven's father didn't do jack shit. Like he's just hanging around like a fucking
He's just
hobo.
a bum.
So she's just describing collateral. She's not targeting, or you're not targeting the actual person you want to take revenge on. You're going to do something to that person that hurts them, which can target other people. It can target property. It can do anything. It can do anything to piss them off.
That is using third parties in order to hurt someone.
Yeah, this is unrelated.
That's not sins of the father. That's just
piss off target before I get to him.
Yeah,
by any means necessary, which is what you see in custody court battles quite often, where the child is just used by the abusive parent in order to get to hurt the non-abusive parent, because that's all it is about. The child is just a tool to the abusive parent. The abusive parent doesn't give a shit about the well-being of the child. The abusive parent is just taking away the child from the non-abusive parent in order to hurt that person, with no regard to what the child goes through or feels or wants.
Yeah, but that would not be sins of the father. That's just, revenge. Sins of the father specifically means you're taking what you can no longer do revenge against the father, so you are taking your revenge that you wanted against that person out on another person. Yeah, not that you are using that person in your plan for revenge against the father.
Yeah,
that's completely different.
What would spark from the sins of the father thing is a blood feud.
Yeah.
A war between families, for example, or a war against a family. Because, for example, well, if the person responsible is dead, then then it turns into a vendetta. I will erase every trace of your existence, which includes every relative that you have, every offspring that you have, so that your memory will be forever forgotten. But that's something different.
All right, here is Tyler Preston. What about people like Leonard Dawson from the first Golgo 13 OVA? He's willing to do heinous things in order to get revenge on Golgo for killing his son Robert. Where does that type of revenge land on? So
heinous? Don't you mean heedless?
That's yeah.
We're talking
sins
about
of the son.
Well, I can't remember exactly what the episode was, but I believe Robert is the father of Leonard, or vice versa, and he's
Robert is the son, I think, and like basically, yeah. The plot was that like Gogo was hired to kill the son because like he was suicidal and didn't want to like take over the company that like this billionaire guy was having. And the father was not having any of this because he got like a letter after that this was all planned out.
I mean, at that point, this is the argument of what is an assassin? Do you target the gun of the assassin, or you target the guy who hired the assassin? What is the point here?
They even go into this detail that like I think like the widow asked the father character that like, why aren't you going after the person who hired the assassin? And then he says like it's complicated. Then it turns out that at the end that like his son was actually the one who hired him to kill himself. I don't know.
I think this was the movie, actually. This is the Professional movie.
Yeah, it's the movie. It's the movie, yeah. It's the Professional.
I don't remember it very well because I mostly watched the Queen Bee movie, but I mostly remember the series, actually, so I don't know what this is specifically about, but all these plots are intricate in Golgo 13. They're not just like, I'm going to go kill a guy. It's like there's always some twist. There's always some element of mystery you don't know. And this is what I talk about previously with murder. It's not just straightforward. It's never straight. If it's always straightforward, you're going to bore everyone. Bob did the murder. Let's go kill Bob. Bob has now been killed. Like, that's not interesting. You have to give me something to care about. Give me a twist I wasn't expecting, even if it's an obvious twist, like, oh, the other guy did it, one of the other suspects, or there was a compatriot in the scene behind the door, but like something like that. Like, oh, okay. Like with this, that sort of question is kind of like, well, he was hired to do a job, and the mystery and the relationship problems and all the other intricacies of human behavior lies with the person wanting someone else dead, not the guy pulling the trigger. So in Gogol's case, he's just the guy pulling the trigger. That's it. He doesn't care. Doesn't care what your reasons are. He might help you out, get what you want if he learns a reason, but ultimately he doesn't care. And he says that to his clients. He's like, I don't care what your background reasons are for wanting someone dead. So he's hired to do a job. That's it. He's the best one at doing it. And good luck trying to stop him. But if you want to try and go after Gogo 13, I think you're already.
He always finishes the job.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Wink, wink.
That's the only that's a good example because we talk about assassins. I remember that was a big deal in Mass Effect 2 with Thane. He's this whole mentality. He's like, no, I don't have any. I've done bad things, but they don't affect me personally because I just enact the wills.
Because he talks about the gun metaphor as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the weapon.
Him and Samara are very similar in that regard because they have their own philosophy on death or killing, and they sleep well at night because they understand what they've been doing all their lives. And with Thane, it's purely professional. With Samara, it's very strict. It's this big giant code that everyone is aware of. And if you cross it, look out, you're going to die. And everyone knows that in the Asari culture. So it's kind of like justice versus professionalism. It's the same idea. The end result's still a dead body, and the person pulling the trigger is just on a mission to do an operation. So that's a little different than vengeance. It's actually no vengeance. It's professional. It's part of culture, and it's clear. That's those characters are very similar in that regard. Anyway,
yeah.
4 minutes in. Ugh.
Yeah,
They
great.
explore Revenge has a very interesting relationship with morality and heroism. I've mentioned that revenge is usually built on a white-hot core of amoral anger surrounded by a thin candy coating of plausible morality. That it's okay to make people suffer because you're in pain and angry as long as they're bad people who deserve it. Now, while revenge is almost never seen as unconditionally heroic, certain kinds of revenge plots are seen as more heroic. This usually corresponds with minimal collateral damage and...
Let's see this. More collateral means evil. Less collateral means okay, yeah, fine. That's fine.
So where does Superman come in? From Man of Steel.
And where does Asura
Zack
come in?
Snyder's
Because he's
Superman.
excessively brutal. He, in regards to all the henchmen of the bad guys, he destroys armies of millions, but not civilians.
What about the Avengers?
He goes out of his way to protect civilians.
It's bad because revenge is based on anger, and anger is bad, so it's always bad.
Anger leads to hate, and hate leads to all the other bullshit in the circle jerk.
The hate leads to fecal urgency.
I understood that reference.
I think this is just her own head babble, and she never really read into any of this stuff from other sources.
Ding ding. Yes, you got it.
Yeah, I mean, considering the fact that so far I know that she's misused 20 different words that don't actually mean what she thinks they mean. I'm like, yeah, I think she's just seen words on a page somewhere and gone, this must mean what I think it means.
You know what's so embarrassing is that like now that like if somebody wants to search for sins of the father, this is gonna be one of the first results because I just did. Like this is like the third result that you get. TV tropes is like far further away, and that's like gives you at least like somewhat of an answer that resembles like what's actually it's about.
Well, but at least
great, awesome, Red. You know
examples. Sorry, Whisper.
Great, Red. You're now responsible for people being misinformed about anger and wrath.
Exactly. This is
you fucking idiot. I thought better of you. Seriously.
Like the problem with these big channels is that like it's cool that like you got like really popular, but like there's a little bit of responsibility because this is like misguiding so many people now.
Yeah.
They just think like, oh wow, this is like the best source to get this info.
Yeah, I mean, Red, I've never seen you being this wrong on anything. This is just pseudo-intellectual babble. You suppose you want to be an educational channel, and you can't just fart out your thought slime. Read something more than just fantasy and TV tropes.
Okay.
Well, Steven Universe, for fuck's sake.
Not the best example to start a topic on vengeance. Yeah, not a good idea.
Did Shakespeare make the foundations of Steven Universe? I believe so.
You know, but people actually would make that video. I'm sure someone's going to make that video somewhere.
Yeah, next year. Maybe that will happen.
I feel more and more guilty for not making shit like this. Because I always feel like I'm just talking out of my ass. And that's why I don't want to make videos like that. Because I'm not sure enough on the stuff I say. Because I can't list off the top of my head all the sources that I could reference. Because I forgot most of them.
Because you have like a certain thing called perfectionism that she doesn't have.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning myself far out of the window, but I'm getting a feeling that I've forgotten more books than she's ever read.
Probably. But hold on, Wes. She might have read all the Harry Potter books. So
yes, but that's still 0.
Wow.
No, that's not 0. That's like -12.
Wow. you read one long story by a mediocre writer. Wow.
It's even it's comparable to Tolkien.
J.K. Rowling is not mediocre. She's terrible at best, right?
All right.
targeting
She's
the
almost
actual
as good
individual
as Agatha
wrongdoer
Christie.
largely exclusively. If the villain hurts the hero and the hero hurts them right back, that's usually just looped into the general space of hero versus villain. In fact, while heroes usually oppose villains on an ideological basis most of the time, adding that revenge motivation by making the villain personally hurt the hero sometimes serves to make the hero seem more appealing to the audience, to make their investment in the plot more personal. Which is weird because fundamentally, as we've discussed, revenge is not a moral act. It's not a heroic thing to do. It's a sublimation of anger and frustration at an acceptable target.
What?
Theoretically,
Revenge is not a moral thing. Stop putting morals in with it because it doesn't.
Whoa.
This person burnt down my entire village. It is amoral for me to go and get revenge.
So what's Punisher then?
Are we going like Eastern philosophy standards now? That like, well, I'm not gonna do what I don't want to do for myself.
I'm lost.
Yeah,
No,
I guess.
No,
This
if
is
someone
too
is
much
constantly
at once.
wants to like murder people, I have to like step in and do something about it before I'm gonna get killed as well. Maybe. I don't care if it's amoral.
But this is my thing. We're putting morals on things, and it's ridiculous that people are doing this because
I'm trying to think of a story where the hero is solely or even just mainly opposing the villain out of ideological reasons. That's
Babylon 5. But those are...
Never seen it.
Who's the villain?
Who's the villain?
In Babylon 5, who's the villain? The villain.
The central villain would be the Shadows, I believe. And then the
Yeah, but the
Vorlons...
shadows aren't the... But the shadows are mainly at war with the Vorlons.
Right.
The humans and all these other crappy races are just in the way.
No,
they're
they're
just
not.
pawns.
Yeah, but it's still...
And the Sheridan at the end rages. He in his burning speech in the end, he reprimands both the Shadows and the Vorlons for their stupidity. Which is the Vorlons try to pretend to be the good guys.
Well, then I'll say President Clark. Then, if you want to go like something else,
that would be one. He was a fascist dictator. And the Psycho, which is like the Stasi or Gestapo mix off, those would fit also as villains that are ideologically at odds. Yes,
but the best thing about that is Clark is such a good villain, but he has no lines and you never see him in the entire show.
Yeah,
he is just a name.
He's a grey eminence in a way. What you have in Babylon 5 is essentially you do not have the personal play at the personal villains. You are just playing ideologies, if you will, or ideas against each other. That's something different from when she's talking here about because what she seems to bring up is personalized stories with the one hero against the one villain. And that I have a hard time thinking of situations where it's for ideological reasons only.
I'm trying to think of the main villain of Record of Lotus War, because that was a very classical fantasy plot where you have something happened to the main character's father, and he tries to figure that out. And one of the villains is called Ashram, I think, and he's the main guy that they go up against. And I wouldn't say it's ideological, but they're just another hero character who's done different things in life. Like, this is the typical template we use for villains. They are basically the hero of their own story, and they're just way more strong than the actual hero. And that's what the hero has to strive against. And you could argue they're very similar. They both have a female elven counterpart. They are fighting on opposite sides of the war, and it's just D&D in anime, essentially, which is kind of how I describe Babylon 5, in fact, D&D in space. But it's very simple to follow. Like, there's nothing inherently complicated of how it works. And there's other stories aside from the OVA or the original anime. There's video games and books and comics and manga. So I think that would be a simpler example, but I'd have to rewatch it to figure out exactly what the ideology is. But that's what it comes when we're talking about conflict in general. Ideological concerns or differences are what make conflict happen. Sometimes it's more pragmatic and mundane, like someone stole something that's illegal, but they need to do it because they're hungry, so it's bread or whatever. So there's all sorts of layers of morals to why did someone do something bad. And
if you just want to put it on ideology, then you'd have to reduce it to a story of there's a bad guy who thinks doing bad things to achieve his goals is okay. Is okay, like a sadistic bandit, king, demon, or whatever. And the good guy is the hero whose call to adventure is predicated just because of that and without any personal investment that any of his village of his family have been hurt. He just heard there's this evil guy out there, so I'm gonna venture out. And this is usually a thing that at least as of late is something that fantasy stories rather reprimand or even make fun of, as this is the fledgling kid that is completely naive and has no idea what he's getting himself into. So it's just that the overzealous, over virtuous guy is that's just pride before the fall. That's hubris. So I think she's just pulling shit out of her ass.
Well, that's where it usually comes from. So.
All right. Anyway, we're at 5 minutes.
Yeah.
This is taking longer than expected. I thought it would be a lot better.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we'd go through it quicker if she knew what word she was talking about. I'm just gonna.
It's just word salad.
The target is caused that anger, but in practice, that's not really how it works. There's a difference between taking revenge and the unconditionally heroic act of stopping somebody who's hurt people from hurting more people. Since the sublimation of the anger is the actual driving point of a revenge plot, it usually doesn't end up mattering who the target really is.
What? Let's rewind that.
Yeah.
Additionally, heroic act of stopping somebody who's hurt people from hurting more people. Since the sublimation of the anger is the actual driving point of a revenge plot, it usually doesn't end up mattering who.
Okay, what if revenge is not driven by anger? What if it's just revenge because it happened so long ago, you no longer feel anything. You're a cold husk of a man, and you need to set things right. And you've been trying so hard, like Inigo Montoya, who's all he's got left is the memory of his dad. And that's it. He doesn't feel anything. He's just pushing himself along.
Then it's a plain manifestation of pursuing justice.
Yeah.
When there's no emotion involved, and you do it to do the right thing, then it is justice.
He doesn't want to torture the guy. He doesn't want to like string him up and dance around with his pants down and make fun of him. He wants to kill the six-fingered man. No question. Doesn't care how.
He just wants to look into his eyes and kill him.
It's to remove a monster from the world. It doesn't, because at that point you've realized that there's no one is getting anything out of putting this person through pain. Psychological pain this person is probably even immune to. It's a monster after all. Physiological pain is a waste of time. All the world needs is the monster to be gone. No one is getting anything out of this person being tortured.
But even with that, with Princess Bride, it's more just the fact that he just wants to do it. He's even accepted that he may never come across the six-fingered man. That's it. He's just like, well, I'll do it, and I'll keep looking for him, but I'm probably never going to find him, and I'm probably going to die fighting someone else. So.
Or like maybe John Marston.
With Micah, yes. That is revenge that needed to be done. So that was morally right. If you're going to put morals onto things, that would be morally right to do. Was to go after him.
Oh, but he's angry, so it's wrong.
I mean, in the long run, it was wrong because it ends up getting John killed, because that's what leads Ross to him. But it's still the right thing to do because it's not really revenge. It's revenge, but also Mike is going to come looking for them. So it's a bit like there's also a bit of pragmatism in it.
Sure. Yeah.
There are lots of examples of revenge in the stories. It's pretty classic. So
yeah, it's one of those things. I'm just a bit like
why she's doing this whole thing with it doesn't matter who the target really is just that's bizarre. I would hate to read a revenge story where the guy who's seeking to right the wrong doesn't care who they kill. That's why I really hated Memento. I don't know if you guys remember.
Oh, do you know something? I was just about to say that. I was just about to say, what's your opinion on Memento?
Yeah.
I don't even remember the movie.
Because it's done...
he doesn't remember it either.
Oh, God.
I remember how the movie worked, but I don't remember.
It's a great story, and the ending ruins the character. It's so bad because he realizes, I'm not going to remember who the murderer is, even if I figure it out. So he's going to invent a murderer, kill him, and then say, oh, he on the back of his little stupid photograph, he's the murderer, kill him, and that's that. So all he has to do is look at the back of that photograph every time he's in jail and go, oh, he's dead. Right, okay. Or he'll never know, and he'll drive himself nuts looking for that guy. And someone has to tell him, no, he's dead. No, he's dead. No, you killed. No, that's why you're here. You killed him. Every 10 minutes.
It's a movie you can watch only once unless you forget everything about it.
Oh, yeah. Don't watch it more than twice.
No.
Dang.
It's just
that bad, huh?
It was just a gimmick.
Yes.
People are like, oh, it's great. And then you actually start looking into it and you're like, people did not look past the gimmick because it's 15 minutes his memory lasts. Because on my Facebook, which is actually ironic, it came up today on like one of those like adverts. 10 reasons why Memento is one of the best crime dramas. And I thought, I'll read it. Yeah, I thought I read it, and I just was like, no, this person's just never read a crime drama in their life or watched a crime drama.
That is not a crime drama. That is a bizarre telling of a story told backwards. It's kind of like Columbo, but just disjointed, messed up, and where Columbo becomes the murderer. So it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
That, Hawk, that reminds me of this meme of games journalist looks forward to playing the game he just reviewed.
Oh, I read that article. That was hilarious. It's a joke site. It's a joke website. It's not a joke website. It's more like a tongue-in-cheek website. So
it's like the Onion or something.
It's kind of like the Onion, but it's not well, yeah, I guess it is satirical, but it's not a joke. It's actually poking fun at a specific person and what they're actually doing. Because in that case, they were saying this guy will just read an article from another website, copy that, and then get really excited for a game he's about to play after the fact. And then,
we have a satire website in Germany called Der Postillon. And it's happened several times for probably 10 years now that the Postillon made some satirical article about something a politician would do, and not giving an idea like lately seems to be happening, but just I don't remember. There was a really famous incident, and the Postillon was making a fun article about it, and a month later the exact thing happened. And that the Postillon has been doing this for a couple of years, and it's baffling because it's not this what we see right now that sometimes seems like these satire sites like Babylon Bee giving the SJWs ideas that they then put into practice as policy, but that actual events that happened that were stupid, that led to corruption, or where to the point where people began thinking that the Postillon had actual insider information and was just pretending to leak it through their satire. But it really is always just guesswork at the insanity. It's just a prediction of, look, the world is this retarded right now.
Yeah.
These people are this stupid, and those people are that stupid. And if we extrapolate that, then this stupid thing might happen if we combine that. And then it turns out that happens. It's like a very, very, very surprising crystal ball.
I can't remember which it was, American politician or was it some environmentalist group. They actually quote tweeted a posting by not Babylon Bee, but I think it was The Onion, and they took it seriously. I can't remember which group it was though.
Well, there's one in the UK which it was a parody account on Twitter, and it was the grooming gangs in the UK where all the young girls were being raped by grooming gangs and stuff. It said all the young girls should shut up for the sake of diversity, right?
Oh, yeah.
And a member of the Labour Party, who's still a member of the Labour Party and is the Shadow Justice for Women's Equality, liked and retweeted it and supported it, thinking it was an actual proper tweet.
I remember that. That was
and it was a bit like, yeah, and she was like, yeah, and she was like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize it was parody. That's not the point.
It's not the point.
Liked and retweeted it. Yeah, it's like,
whether it's real or not, you the Shadow Justice for Women. You like shutting up women about being raped. You like shutting up girls about being raped. You are the fucking villain.
Only girls who are raped by minorities.
Yeah, but that's...
If you're raped by a white guy, open your mouth
but that
and tell
means she is the
everybody.
fucking villain.
Yes. She's a member of the Labour Party, so...
Yeah, of course she is.
All right. Here's Tyler Preston for another donation. Thank you, sir. The only example of sins of the father I can think of is from the episode of Detective Conan. A grieving father blames the doctor who operated on his son, so he kidnaps the doctor's son and almost kills the child. It was also to give his dead son a playmate. His dead son a playmate. Holy crap.
Oh, the Conan plots the Conan detective stories are pretty dark most of the time.
Really?
Just because he has the body of a kid doesn't mean they're not for really kids stories. They are very, very mature crime scenes.
But the thing with that though is that sins of the father, or is that the dad using the child as revenge against the other person?
Yeah, see, he want to get back at the father.
But yeah, see like I used with the Ashley Williams thing as sins of the father / grandfather. That is his failure has blacklisted her, so she's suffering from the perceived sins of what her grandfather's done, not because of anything she's done or anything like that. It's just the fact that your granddad did something we thought was bad, so we're punishing you for it. Because we cannot punish him, because he is gone and he's dead now. It's over. That's sins of the father. So it's not that someone's doing something to someone's child. It's the fact that they want. It's like someone be like.
It's revenge by proxy.
It's like I kill Smud's cat, right? And then I die, and then Smud goes, I still want revenge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my revenge plan against my son. It's not to get back at me because I'm gone. There's nothing you can do. It's the fact that my son, who's completely innocent and wasn't even involved, is now being punished for my actions against Smud. That be my son suffering sins of the father.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
we had something in Germany called Sippenhaft, which was punishing the whole family for something that one member of the family does. which was usually practiced under Nazi and communist occupation. Well, or rule, if you will. In the way of the communists, I rather say occupation.
But yeah, so I think that's the best way to explain what Sins of the Father is, because what she's just saying is revenge, and revenge can be part of it, but most of the times with Sins of the Father, it's not revenge, it's just Sins of the Father is more spite against the family than stuff. Yeah, it's very difficult to explain it because there's a lot of stuff involved in it, but what she's explaining isn't really Sins of the Father.
She's just conflating things all and off all the time.
Okay. Let's continue.
The target is. Heroes can have vengeance arcs, but vengeance is not a heroic motivation. It's a selfish one, and the Sins of the Father angle highlights that. On paper and from a logical standpoint, if the person who hurt Character A is not available for vengeance, Character A should stop seeking vengeance. That's the rational thing to do. Since getting justice is no longer an option, they should focus on healing instead. This is the morally good...
That's what getting revenge does.
Getting revenge is relevant to emotional healing, you fucking dunce. What about the term? Okay, better term. If someone else is hurt and you do that, like as someone who can't fight for himself.
Can I just interrupt you for 5 seconds?
Yes.
And just say, you know that thing where you're saying like she's just telling everyone to just be a stupid fucking pacifist? You were 100% right. This is her just saying don't have a spine and just be a fucking pacifist.
Just let yourself be raped. Just let it happen. Yeah. Just let it happen, Red. Let's just let it happen and don't harbor any bad feelings against your rapist. Better apologize to your rapist. He will forgive you. For what I don't know, but that's what people tell. But that's what people like you tell rape victims.
Yeah. So all she's saying. This is why you don't put morals with emotion, because morals do not fit with emotions. And it's a really bad. You start off at a bad point in your argument when you start off like that, and because now you're trying to say that doing nothing is the morally right thing to do, when clearly you can say otherwise, which means your point is wrong. Because there's no such thing as half right, and anyone who says things are half right, you just don't want to admit that you're wrong. So
let's keep going because this is.
Yeah, because I'm losing the point I wanted to get at. Right. Another word for this might be to avenge. No, like the avenge. Yeah. They're not there to just take revenge on anything or anyone. They're there to right the wrongs of the world.
Yeah.
They're justified in what they're doing because they're fighting threats that endanger not just themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't just move on from Thanos. From Thanos snipping half the world away. Like, just get over it. Red, you're an asshole.
All right, let's go.
Your stance is what protects abusers. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Unequivocally heroic, but the vengeance motivation usually doesn't just go away, especially if Character A has been relying on it to keep them going and give them a purpose.
Yes, it does go away.
So Character A might choose a new target, in the process revealing the truth of their motivation. Vengeance doesn't demand justice, only personal satisfaction. Character A is now actively...
Why? Give us an example. How? Like what? Anyway, let's just keep going. This is a silly statement.
Yeah, because we can just keep giving examples to prove that she's wrong. And all this means is this video is not fucking well put together, and she
doesn't understand any of the things she's saying.
No, she's not. And you know something? I can just imagine the comments in this replying to our video. You keep stopping her too often. You don't let her say so many words before you interrupt her. And it's be like, yeah, because the point that she just put up that sentence. She speaks really fast.
Wrong.
Yeah, every half sentence is wrong. It's like, yeah, but if you hear the rest of the sentence, it might make sense. Well, we do hear the rest of the sentence, and it still
and then it just proves my conclusion. What the fuck?
Yeah, but this is the thing. This is how bad it is the fact that we've done this for so long and so many times that we only need to hear half a sentence.
Yeah, I'm baffled
we know
myself
exactly
that I
what the
could
rest of the
predict twice how wrong, in what way she's going to be wrong. And I didn't even, I hoped and I didn't even think it would go that way because I thought better of her. Of this person, I thought better. But what the fuck? And Ego Dreamer puts it right in the chat when he quotes, "The only thing evil needs to win is when good men do nothing."
Yep. But here's the thing: say if we do get something, wrong, it's not because what she said was right. It's what she said was more insane than we could have guessed, and more wrong than we could have guessed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because I remember the last video we did, we had loads of comments of people complaining about stuff, and it was just like, it's quite clear that it's because it's a female content creator. You think that if you come onto this video and defend her, she's going to drop her knickers for you. That's the main reason for it. Because every other time we've done a video,
that's a normal thing.
Or they think they're being a hero, but
that's a psychological thing. If Blue had done the same video,
are you trying to get revenge? Are you trying to get revenge on us for dissing this woman? Because that's an amoral thing to do. So you should just apologize to us.
Video.
Yeah, but
you should apologize to her, right? She's a strong woman.
Yeah, that's the irony of it all. If Blue had done the same video with the exact same text, that same virtuous jumping in front of the bullet would not happen, because the human psyche is evolutionarily pre-programmed to prejudice women, any females, as need to protect, because the eggs are golden, because this is reproduction. Women are the reproductive bottleneck, and it's evolutionarily programmed into us to protect them no matter what. Which is why our subconscious seems to treat women, if we're not conscious of this process, if we're not mature enough. And it takes way more than just growing out of your teenage consciousness level to realize this and treat women actually equally and hold them to account, because the subconscious pre-programming is women will be treated exactly the same as seniors, children, and the disabled. That is why we're not holding them to account. That's why we do not assume agency from them, and that is why we naturally jump in front of them to protect them from any harm that could come anyway, whether it's physical, whether it is psychological. Which is why people jump in front of women being wrong to defend them, so that they do not have to deal with any critique or reality check, which is what infantilizes them even more, and which is what creates this constant epidemic of narcissistic personality disorder, because that is something you should be growing out of in your teenage years at the latest. But if you are constantly being protected by simps, you have no outside pressure to get out of that, and it is only outside pressure that gets you out of narcissism.
Now,
if that outside pressure is deprived of you, you're not going to get out of it.
Unless you're Gogol 13 and you stand behind him. Doesn't matter whether you're a kid, lady, old lady, you're going to die. So.
Well, I was going to ask, don't women also expect the same sort of what you just said a minute ago? Like,
who said a minute ago? Wisp.
Wisp, yeah.
Yeah, Wisp said a lot of things.
Something about the evolutionary basis, right?
yeah, it's But here's the thing. It's just like I don't think. Is it Red that she's called?
That's Red.
Red.
Right, I don't think Red actually. Right. Okay. I don't care about Blue. He's not in this video. I don't think Red actually knows what Sins of the Father actually is.
Anyway, here's a donation from Tyler Preston again. Vengeance can be a good thing. Just look at Batman. I am vengeance, I am the night. Also, another example of sins of the father is Freddy Krueger killing the children of the parents who murdered him. Oh yeah, all those slasher flicks have. Even Jason Voorhees has that as well.
The first movie, yes. Afterwards, no.
That's usually with the sequels of these things. It's the same with Rambo 2 not being as good as Rambo 1 because it focuses just on the action. What I've been seeing here for a while is that the sins of the father thing is something that villains do. It's not what heroes do. And she seems to attribute it somehow to hero characters. That's retarded, unless you want a redemption arc for the hero.
Right. There is one thing where I know, which sort of says a hero. The TV show Sharp, right? They made some new episodes. I say new episodes in 2008. It was. Now, if anyone's ever read the books or watched the TV show, you'll know that Sharp's nemesis is Obadiah Hakeswell. And in the later episodes, even though they're rubbish, Sharp comes across his illegitimate son. I can't remember what his first name is, Hakeswell, in India, and he takes his anger out on him and thinks he's a bad person just by merely being this guy's illegitimate child. He's had no contact with Hakeswell. He doesn't even know who the hell, the guy really is, and all that. But because Hakeswell is Sharp's nemesis and he caused so much trouble, killed Sharp's wife, and all that, he's just taken like anger and a sort of revenge against him. Even though he got revenge against Hakeswell, he's still taken out it feels like there's still a bit of I still want to get at this person. But as the episode, it's 2 episodes, and as it goes along, he actually gets over that and learns to trust and this young lad, and they get on. And Hakeswell's son proved himself not to be anything like his father. So that's the closest I can think of with a hero doing that. But even then, it's they know the errors and they don't they stop once it becomes clear that the person's not like their father.
You know what irks me?
We are trying a lot of things.
Yeah, but here, you've done it right now. I've done it before. I don't know who else done it in this group, but I think someone else did it too. Is that we are the ones desperately trying to find an example that supports her explanations, and we have a really hard time at it. And she doesn't bring up anything. We are trying to talk in her favor.
Well, I'm not trying to talk in her favor. I'm just trying to prove the fact that, as hard as I think about it, the way she's putting across, I've never seen, and this is the closest that I think of.
Yeah.
And even then, it proves that Sins of the Father isn't really something that a hero does. It is more of a villain thing. It's not even. To be brutally honest, it's not much of a villain's thing. It's more of a stuck-up bureaucracy sort of thing.
Yeah, it's
like a political thing most of the time.
Yeah, what I meant to say is is that we are in trying to find examples for what she's describing here. We are desperately trying to steelman her argument, yet keep failing at it, and we're trying really hard. Yeah. We're giving her the benefit of the doubt, but we cannot, for the sake of it, find anything. And I think this group has varied levels of it, because in completely different areas of interest, knowledge of fiction and the like.
Yeah.
And we can't find things that work in favor of her descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's This is just bad.
Yeah.
Educate yourself.
All right.
No, but I seriously mean read some actual books on subject matters and not just fantasy stories and just draw around your conclusions. Read I don't know what Sachbuch would be in English. Like
read
But
Foucault or
what was
Nietzsche.
what was that
or
little
something
laugh
like
that you did though?
Okay.
That was just kind of cute. I don't know.
Let's
you can clip it if you want. I don't
try
care.
and continue. Let's go.
Seeking a target rather than pursuing justice against the individual who personally harmed them. This is not heroic, but that doesn't mean heroes don't have
Because
this
you're
kind of
describing
arc. For instance, almost
villains.
every dark vigilante superhero has some variant of this motivation, where instead of taking out their anger on the specific person who hurt them, they choose other targets who they think deserve to be punished or need to be stopped, and take out their anger on them en masse. The motivation
Where's
is
the scene
still
from?
self-centered and self-destructive.
That's the
Punisher.
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 Okay. Does
I'm
he
sure
have
there's a
reason
reason,
to
I'm
attack these
sure-
guys?
Sorry.
Right.
Yes.
Right. You watched this scene, haven't you? You've seen Punisher.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the
does he
reason
have
to attack
reason
these
to
guys?
Yeah. He's trying to get information, and the guy doesn't want to give it to him, so he orders his bodyguards to attack Punisher.
Okay. And also, he's
So
the
he's-
Punisher. He has a bit of a
He's
suit.
just defending himself at that moment. So
And he's the Punisher. He goes a little more direct at things.
yeah,
As far
I mean,
as I know the
he-
character.
Depends on what interpretation, I
It-
guess.
Well, it's wonderful.
Sometimes he's
showing
crazy.
this
Sometimes
scene.
he's rightfully.
Yeah, but the best thing about this is it's wonderful showing a scene with no sound and no context. You can make
Mhm.
it look like anything.
Well, and I think in this season, he's trying to protect a little girl because she's wrapped up in some weird conspiracy theory with, I don't know, one of the church people. I can't even remember. It was so stupid, but so he's trying to protect a little girl, and so he's in this crusade to protect her.
Scene isn't. Yeah, so this scene isn't anything to do with sins of the father or revenge.
No.
Also not
So why
with
show this-
senseless anger.
So why show this scene? Oh, it's
Uh,
because he's
I
a
don't know.
vigilante who goes overboard with stuff. Okay.
Red,
Sure,
are you
fine.
committing the crime
I
of,
mean-
of showing footage then and deliberately misinterpreting it by cutting out the relevant context, like certain news media do? About
not
war
sure.
footage, for example?
But I'm not sure how Punisher fits into the sins of the father. It's his family. I mean, it's his wife and 2 kids that get murdered by criminals. How does that
And he's
fit
looking
sins
for the
of father?
perpetrator, I presume?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the first scene.
Well, in the
and then
beginning,
second-
but then of course
that gets
he starts
solved,
to
doesn't it?
hunt down all crime.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But I'm just
Larry in the
wondering how
chat
it fits
says
into the sins of the father.
Larry in the chat says that Punisher only hurts criminals. Is that correct?
Yes.
And he has a
He
code.
doesn't-
No, he doesn't hurt them. He punishes them. Hence why. he's
Yeah,
called
whatever.
Punisher.
He has a code apparently,
I mean, he won't
yeah.
kill cops.
and that's not
he won't
just blind
kill
anger.
Anybody innocent.
Which is
He
the
only
reason
kills the
why
criminals.
the penance stare doesn't work on him.
Yeah.
All
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah,
Ghost
Yeah.
Rider.
Ghost
Nope,
Rider.
because
Yeah.
he does it because he never hurts innocent people. He has nothing to be remorseful for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Although
funny.
the Netflix Punisher did kill somebody innocent, I believe, which is pretty dumb, but whatever.
Well, let's see if the Ghost Rider ever gets adapted. See how that guy how he handles it then.
Yeah, he'll die probably.
Oh boy.
It'll it is a scratch.
So long as it's not Nicolas Cage, I think we're good.
Oh.
Hey, he tried, even though it sucked.
Oh yeah.
Be glad that
Nicolas
Nicolas Cage wasn't
Cage.
Superman.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage is very trying. Yes, I agree. So,
You didn't like Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider?
do I not like it? No. Anyway.
I mean, I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's like he tried. Damn it.
It was a thing that
I'm not
happened.
Could have been a
Good
lot
either.
better. Could have been hella
I'm not saying
better.
it-
Could have been.
I agree with you, Kingman. It's not good. I agree.
Well,
Right.
Anyway,
Back to Sins of the Father.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But the outcome is stopping bad guys, so it theoretically works as a heroic motivation. The audience is inclined to agree that stopping bad guys is a good thing to do, so it works as a candy coating on the directionless rage center to their motivation. But things get much more dubious if the avenging character isn't just targeting people who the audience agrees need.
I need to read this. What is this? That's the title above it. Scale of Vengeance Morality? Starts in the evil part with vigilante, justice. Yeah, vigilante. You don't need to put the justice in quotation marks when you talk about vigilante justice. That is one term. And vigilante justice can be justice. Again, that's what Batman does. Because there is no functioning or strong enough police force anymore. Vigilante justice
against maybe not really all bad guys.
Oh, you're stretching it here.
let's just. This
Red
is
is
too
stretching.
silly. Let's just keep. This is too. No, come on.
Vigilante
Yeah,
justice against bad guys in general. Justice against specific bad guy. That is still Batman, but he's still a vigilante justice guy because he is not part of the official body that enacts justice. He's just a guy.
Up. This is a dumb. The previous chart was silly enough. This is just dumber. This is getting.
Yeah. No. Once you read the line, maybe not really all that bad guys. You've got to go. Nah, fuck this. This is ridiculous.
Seriously grasping at straws at this point.
She's not grasping at straws. She's making her own straws, and then is unable to grasp those straws she's made.
Yes, I completely agree. And I'm struggling internally right now because is the stuff that I watched of her in the past years ago just as bad as this, and I just couldn't see it because I was dumber than I am now?
No, it's because you
do I have to rewatch all that and just come to the conclusion that you've always been an idiot, or have you turned into an idiot?
You have a better understanding of the terms than she does. Plus, these analog arbitrary charts are not helping her argument. She's not giving specific examples. The scene from The Punished was just a fight scene. We don't understand it. Like, it's just stuff.
Well, no, it's a fight scene. But the minute I knew that came up, I went, Eric Wright knows this. What happens in this? And he goes, oh, it's blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, so it's nothing to do with revenge, vengeance, justice, or all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh, right, so that scene meant nothing. Excellent. Let's move on. And it's just like, Red, what are you doing? What is this video? I get that you want to talk about tropes, but actually know what trope it is that you're talking about. It's like I don't start talking about 19th century Mimosian fucking delicacies or something like that. I wouldn't have a clue. I've literally just made that up, right?
The thing is, the only situation where this kind of attempt at an analysis would be justified is if no one had ever written about the stuff and she's the first person to try to map it out. Then it would still be a bad analysis, but it would be justified as pioneer work, as trailblazing, and it would all be debunked in by the next generation to analyze all this stuff. But it would be the spark of everything. However, we know things better than that already for a long time, and you're just pulling out crap out of your ass and putting it out there, and just letting it gobble people who are less informed and less thoughtful than you. Gobble it up because you have a big channel. And that I think is at the very least negligent.
Anyway, let's keep going because I think we can just carry on through because we pretty much said all our arguments for everything, and it's now just
repeat
turning to her. Yeah, she's just going to be just saying the same stuff, which is just wrong. We can just say wrong, moving on.
Yep.
So
let's go.
We can do the next 20 minutes.
To be punished. The character isn't pursuing justice for selfish reasons, they're pursuing personal satisfaction for selfish reasons, which is a selfishness double whammy. The Sins of the Father vengeance variant is where this starts getting really obvious. Because see, character B is the one who wronged character A, but character B isn't available to pay for their crimes. Instead, we have character C,
yeah, you
whose
said
only
this
crime is
already.
being affiliated with character B. And no matter how bad character B is, associating with them is not equivalent to doing whatever it is character B did, and thus is automatically not deserving of character A's retribution. Heroic characters are less likely to take revenge by proxy.
Right.
She said this already.
Yeah, but what's really getting me is the fact she says family question mark. It's like, so right, you don't know what sins of the father is, do you? Right, okay. Sins of the father is usually the father or fatherly figure, or some sort of family relative. You can't say It's yeah. Let's keep going.
I'm reminded of the other more deranged women we've covered, who just, like Maggie, who just randomly associate things and then make up some weird connection or justification or explanation around them, while there's nothing to it. Red does the same thing on a less insane and less retarded level.
Yeah,
he still draws completely wrong conclusions and equates things that shouldn't be equated. That, like, not just apples and pears, but oranges and toasters.
Engage.
Revenge by proxy. Less morally stalwart characters might take what they can get, leading to character C suffering for a crime they didn't commit and have
That's
no
a villain!
It's not unheard of for protagonists to seek vengeance by proxy, but it's much more common with villains. And it's even more common for these villains to be targeting heroes for their revenge by proxy, since that's an easy way to drive large portions of the plot. Now, there's a few specific sub-variants of the sins of the father trope. The plain vanilla option is that the avenging character wants vengeance, but the original avengee isn't available, frequently because they're already dead, so the avenger seeks out the person closest to them to work out their frustrations.
That's still a villain!
Descendant. This can be something of a double whammy for the descendant in question, since if their parent/ancestor is unavailable/dead, they might already have some complexes about that, which are only going to be exacerbated by some supervillain popping out of the woodwork to attack them for stuff their absentee ancestor did. This is pretty common in cases where the avenging character just wants some kind of symbolic payback and doesn't really care who pays for it. There's also a fairly passive form of the sins of the father thing, where instead of somebody actively setting out to make a character suffer for the crimes of their predecessor, they're just held passively responsible for other pre-existing bad stuff.
Oh, you mean what they try to put on race guild right now? And the historic guild of all Germans and all of that shit?
You're passively responsible for someone. Isn't that the same thing? You're just justifying
that is you're passively responsible for something your relative did.
And
yes,
all Americans...
that is actually sins of the father.
Yes, all Americans and all Europeans are responsible for slavery and all that shit. That's what this is. Yeah. Yes, but that's something villains do. Villains put on this the whole accusation. That's what villains do.
So her secondary point is what is actually sins of the father, not her primary point. So well done, Red. You didn't get it first time round, but you got it 258th time round. Well done, congratulations. You might actually make it somewhere. Let's just keep going.
Well done, you're dumb. A karmic explanation for why bad things happen to this
fucking damn kiddo.
Sure, if bad things happen to someone randomly, that's bad, and you might want to help them. But if the character's existence is in some way cursed, that handily explains every bad thing they go through, and conveniently absolves any bystanders from feeling obligated to help them out. Sorry, buddy, will of the universe. Shouldn't have been born like that. This variant is, on paper, more inoffensive than active vengeance, but it's elevated somewhat in the heinousness department by having the distinction of being a disturbingly popular attitude in the real world. By definition, nobody deserves the circumstances they're born into. You can't deserve anything if you haven't done anything yet. But it's a very...
what are we talking about?
What? Again?
We're gonna...
You cut out.
Yes, sins of the father is truth in television, which is another trope. Because it used to be done... because sins of the father is a very political type of punishment.
Political?
It's
You mean like Trudeau's father and Justin Trudeau currently? Like the massive debt his father instigated in Canada? Is that what you mean?
No, as in say his dad did all his dad did all that. But then when Trudeau tried to become Prime Minister of Canada, he was stopped from doing it, not because he was bad. I mean, he is. Let's just pretend he's actually decent at it, but because his dad was bad. He's suffering for the sins of what his father did. Which is why I say Ashley Williams' thing is a good example of sins of the father/grandfather, because she does not get promoted above one of the lowest levels,
right?
Because of what her grandfather did. That's sins of the father. So in the real world, that was used to be done a lot of times, like in the British Army in the 1800s. If your father did something really bad, your military career could be over. It could completely, ruin that or ruin your grandkids' career. People's political careers are ended because of some things their dad did in office and stuff. So
I think
that's what the main,
Yeah, I think that is a thing that has a kernel of truth or justification to it, but it's always misapplied, driven to an extreme. That is because of the what you see in the proverb of the apple does not fall far from the tree. That well, if you are a horrible asshole, well, we don't know whether your child is rebelling against that or a copy of you. So we rather err on the variant that your child is a copy of you to protect ourselves, and thus will less likely be driven to give the benefit of the doubt and give your child a seat of power, for example. And a positive, well, not positive, an actual example of this would be the father of Bill Gates, who was big in eugenics, and founded the in this context or was part of the founding process of the Planned Parenthood organization, and Bill himself seems to be big on eugenics as well, and that doesn't seem to have been, and that seems to be an apple that doesn't have fallen far from the tree. So yeah, I wouldn't trust either of them for that reason. With other people, yeah, that is less known, and I understand people's, you could say paranoia, whether that's a healthy version or not, in being overly cautious with the offspring of people, especially in the olden days. Yeah, but when you bring that too far, yeah, that's a problem. And Ken Kaneki mentioned me in the chat, and what did he write? What she just mentioned is true, but her site is causing it. Yes, I agree with that. The people who are punished for the way they were born currently are white people, for example. Yeah, pretty much. That's what we're seeing right now.
That's exactly what you call sins of the ancestors.
Mm-hmm. And that's in a way it's a variant of original sin.
Yeah.
Sometimes when some ancestor did something, and you may be related due to some tribal affiliation, some superficial trait, and therefore you are also guilty, or you are also responsible, and you have to pay me back for my ancestors were hurt by that. This is essentially the extreme version of a family feud.
Yep.
Yeah, the transgressions of your ancestors against my ancestors, you must pay for that. So yeah, that's the way, isn't it? Transgression, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what they
There's a few stories.
And thank you, Red, for saying that is a bad thing. Thank you, Red.
There's a few TNG stories about that. The one is with those Indians who recognize the name Picard or something like that, and the other one was with Worf's dad, I believe, who was a traitor to the Empire.
Yep.
So.
Well, he was
framed.
He was framed to be a traitor, which in turn made Worf got lumbered with his shame.
Right.
So
yeah,
Worf had to clear his dad's name for his family's honor. Yeah. So yeah.
But he couldn't because the House of Duras was on the council, and if the House of Duras were exposed for it, it would have led to civil war.
Yeah. And they couldn't have civil war with it all, but yeah.
That was the greater evil.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
But it's a very popular cop-out to ignore or dismiss someone's systemic suffering as a matter of karma or predestination or the will of the universe rather than shit luck, active malice, and zero support. For a super fun real-world example, the Book of Genesis briefly mentions something called the Curse of Ham, a curse Noah invokes after his son Ham does something gross. In response, Noah curses Ham's son Canaan to be a servant to his brethren. This curse is vague and not described in further detail, but someone decided the exact nature of the curse was that Canaan's skin got darker, and furthermore that the Curse of Ham was a really convenient way to morally justify slavery. No, guys, it's not morally abhorrent for a good Christian to own a living, breathing human being with a soul. It's just a bloodline curse. Sure, you didn't do anything to deserve this, but because one guy did, thousands of years ago, you get a lifetime of agony and humiliation, and I am totally morally cool. So in short, this approach gets used to passively justify a lot of really fun atrocities because it's a lot easier to feel good.
Red, I don't know if you got the update, but Christianity is the New Testament, not the old one.
Yeah.
Just saying. And the Christians who don't do that, they're not very good Christians.
Just a question. Who here's ever heard of that curse? And who's ever heard of that example?
I've never heard that
being
used as a
used to
justification.
justify slavery.
Let's
until
use
this very second.
obscure Bible references.
I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
Why use a Bible? Yeah, me, the atheist here. Yeah, use that Bible reference because I know everything about. What? Most people don't even know what the fuck you're on about. I've never heard that used ever until this very second. I thought Ham was just a character from Toy Story.
Well,
I don't even know what she's talking about.
Thankfully, they didn't get into the whole Jewish pork problem, but you know.
Yeah, my thing is, Noah had a son called Ham. My first question is, did he? Okay. Right. And some people, in some places, somewhere, say that his skin turned darker. So it wasn't in the Bible then, was it? Because you would have said it was said in the Bible. So somebody somewhere, some random person, some nut job has said that. So...
Red, Quran critic when?
Yeah, so you've picked, for your real-world example, you've picked maybe, possibly, could be, somebody somewhere said this thing seriously as an excuse to have slaves. When you could have used literally anything in politics, but you had to go to slavery because, well, we all know why.
All right. Here's Alex Halo. So, like Emilia from ReZero, Sins of Her Mother, I think the actual kingdom's a bit weird. People are a bit lunatic. They're a bit murderous. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I guess you could say it's right. It's more of a conscious thing on her falling down. Everyone sees her like that as her mother. Yeah, it's typical stuff. Anyway. 9 minutes, 30 seconds. Oh, yeah, we're past the halfway mark at least.
Yay.
Easier to feel yourself as a person if you can blame a bunch of dead guys for everyone you go out of your way to hurt. Anyway, a slightly less gross and more complicated variant happens when the target in question is in some way actively benefiting from their ancestors' crime. This version muddies the question of how much they deserve to be targeted. Sure, they didn't do the actual bad thing, but they are actively reaping the rewards. Maybe their predecessors stole the money that made their family rich, or usurped the throne they sit on, and the avenging antagonist wants justice is taken for them. The target didn't actually do anything wrong, but that doesn't mean they aren't in some way responsible for their own life and circumstances. And if those circumstances are built on a crime, you could argue that they do bear some responsibility to try and mend the damage of that crime.
Why?
Oh, suddenly it does become... Oh, if it's something, if it's something positive, it suddenly is my responsibility. You're an abusive fuckwit, Red.
God!
I'm so tired.
Damn it! This is just going to go into fucking white paying for fucking the stuff they did 400 or plus years.
That is alleged. Look, this is the whole problem with that group condemnation, is that it is alleged that the so-called white people profited from this and that and whatnot.
So
and therefore now have to pay.
my family
which
that were minors
is just as much a crime.
lived in poverty. My family that were miners for hundreds of years and lived in poverty and struggled day to day. Yeah, we really reaped the benefits from the British Empire, didn't we? Yeah, fucking tosspot. Fuck yeah, Muggins here, sat in my house struggling to like make ends meet. Yeah, I'm really thriving because of the fucking British Empire. I'm reaping rewards. Oh yeah.
Well,
fuck off.
This is now jumping into reality, which we don't need to go to. We're supposed to be talking about stories, not.
Oh yeah.
This entire thing, Smud. This entire thing is just a cover to bitch about SJW talking points. And I honestly believe this entire channel is using the cover of Tropes just to bitch about political stuff.
Well,
because it's quite clear she doesn't know what Sins of the Father is as a trope for TV. And it was just the way to say...
that she does these political jabs.
Yeah, and it's just... Yes.
I never got around to
I'm just waiting for stories. I'm waiting for examples of stories we can work with, because all we had was a clip from The Punisher.
And then a clip from Frozen 2,
which wasn't even a reference. They just had a clip. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Look, that dam collapsed.
And Red, isn't the person that reaps the benefit of whoever did the thing, isn't that the person C that you brought up in your examples, that is completely innocent of everything and should not be the target of any wrath or anger or jealousy in that matter? Like, because when you are putting this this person to, oh, but you have responsibility about the actions of your ancestor that you're profiting from because of your position and your wealth or whatever else you're making up. That is just doing the same thing that the same abuse by proxy, but in a psychological manner. You're not doing it physiologically, you're doing it psychologically. You're doing the exact same thing and you're not realizing it.
Anyway.
If the person is innocent, the person is innocent and has no obligation towards you.
Let's please continue, because this is going to derail quickly, so...
Yeah, this is just...
The avenging character makes things morally simpler by going far beyond justice or fixing the damage done by the original crime and aiming for burn everything to the ground instead, which is much easier for a hero to categorically oppose than a complex question about personal responsibility. Still, this is one of the more nuanced variants, and the target frequently does agree that they have some responsibility.
What is that movie? What is this movie we're watching here?
Oh, Black Panther.
This is Black Panther?
I think it's just she went for a literal example of someone burning stuff down.
Okay.
The only thing with this one is people say you could say Sins of the Father because T'Challa's son kills Killmonger's. No, T'Challa's dad kills Killmonger's dad. But then Killmonger is really just after the throne. It's not really revenge against T'Challa.
Yeah.
So.
What was her exact quote about her exact words about the burning down stuff?
I don't know. I'm zoning out.
Go a little back, because
it was an arbitrary statement, meaning they just attack ambiguously.
Yeah.
It's the same. But it's the same thing she said 10 minutes ago. It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be accurate with the scene.
Burn everything to the ground instead, which is much easier for a hero to categorically oppose than a complex question about personal responsibility.
He's not just burning it to the ground for no reason or out of spite. He's burning the flowers that give the ancestral Puma superpowers, so that no one else can have it. So that no one else will be able to oppose him. So that he will be the only Wakandan with these superpowers. That's why he does it, not just for no reason. You bloody asshole haven't even watched the fucking movie.
Yeah, with the Puma powers.
Sorry, I had to step out for a second. What was she saying?
Don't worry about it. You're not missing much. You can step out again.
Why are we seeing Black Panther?
No, it's okay.
It's not Black Panther. It's Black Puma. It's the Puma.
Yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Anyway, let's keep going. Here's a donation from a tall person. Thanks again. Did you cover trope talks on the Mary Sue? I don't think we did. No, we did the character deaths, I think. Trying to remember which one it was.
Character death.
Yeah, main character deaths.
And that was a very poor video.
That wasn't that great, no.
So,
Francis Ford Coppola, one more. Don't you guys get it? Merely by existing in a country that was colonizing another country somewhere else, bereft of your approval or support of that colonization, you are responsible for what the country did, but this only applies to white people. Yeah, the conquerors.
Why are the SJWs doing the same shit then to Finland?
I don't know, and to be honest with you, the SJWs do stuff all over the place. I don't care what they do. They're just fucking bunch of idiots.
And
this video.
They're very dangerous idiots.
Let's just continue, guys.
Yeah,
this
is getting stupid. It's just let's just get through this because I'm dying.
Of course, frequently, the avenging character makes things morally simpler by going far beyond justice or fixing the damage done by the original crime and aiming for burn everything to the ground instead, which is much easier for a hero to categorically oppose than a complex question about personal responsibility. Still, this is one of the more nuanced variants, and the target frequently does agree that they have some responsibility to try and make things right, so that at minimum this kind of crime doesn't happen again on their watch. It's not their responsibility to suffer for the satisfaction of the Avenger, but it is their responsibility to try and make things right. This is also one of those things that has some pretty heavy real-world questions.
Reparations.
On the refreshingly fictional side of things, there's a very simple variant of this trope where the bad guy is immortal, or at least very old, and has a grudge against some long-dead character who just happens to look almost exactly like one of the heroes, and it doesn't particularly matter to them the actual person who wronged them is long gone. They'll just take out their aggression on this identical stranger. This version...
Yes, Red. Why exactly is then anyone in the United States, or Europe for that matter, responsible for reparations against the incompetent black urbanites when any other black people who move from Africa to the US right now have a good living and make it? Explain it to me.
Why should I pay for the fact that black people captured other black people and then sold them to white people? Shouldn't it be the first black tribes?
We're at the point where black Americans murder Asians, and white people get blamed for it. Mm-hmm. Do you even understand the insanity of it?
No.
Yeah.
And you're making a soft case for that.
Anyway, I want to know this Gargoyle reference because Gargoyles is a pretty decent story.
Yeah.
And where did she come with this? What's the statement she's trying to make?
Did she even watch it? You gotta wonder.
What she's talking about is right now is the whole take revenge on someone who looks similar to the one who did the thing, while the one who did the thing is already gone.
Oh, so all gargoyles are evil?
I do not remember Demona's story because when I watched Gargoyles, I was a kid. I haven't rewatched it since.
All white people are evil. All black people are evil because one white guy hurt me when I was a kid or some nonsense. Okay, fine. Let's go.
Version is entirely justified and pretty much 100% bad guys only. It's also easily solved with a mustache and a new pair of glasses. But back into the nuance zone, there's the feuding families variant, where the sins of the father don't just fall on one person. For whatever reason, two groups have been fighting for generations, and everyone is held responsible for the actions of their group, no matter how young or innocent they are. The grudge runs deeper than any actual personal responsibility, and the only reason these guys need to fight is that the other guy is from the other group. Pretty much the archetypical example of this uniquely stupid variant is Romeo and Juliet, where the original grudge is literally never explained because it doesn't need to be explained. This variant probably most clearly illustrates how utterly irrational and self-centered this vengeance trope is. The characters don't even have a reason to hate each other. What they have is an excuse. The Capulets and Montagues both have an acceptable target they can take out any and all of their aggression on whenever they want, and the only reason they need is our families hate each other. For all we know, some 9th century Capulet...
That's not the focus of the damn story. Okay, this is getting silly.
She's just rambling.
Yeah.
I told you she's doing the Maggie May Fish thing just on a less horrible level.
Okay, let's keep going. I don't want to talk. This is a waste.
It's painted the of polka dots, and there's been blood in the streets of Verona ever since. Hell, if you want to extend this trope a little bit into the real world, shocking, I know, let's not make
No,
that
you're not
This
funny.
is
No
basically
more,
the
please.
justification behind any kind of demographic feud or prejudice. It's never about what the individual targeted person did. It's always about what their group can be held responsible for. It's not a reason to hate or hurt them, it's an excuse to justify hating and hurting them, which in turn is being done for
Exactly.
personal self-centered reasons. Because if you're full of anger and hate, it feels really good to take it out on someone, and even better if you can convince yourself they deserve it. This is also pretty much the only real-world justification for war, by the way. It's never about what the soul.
Really? The only
only
justification
real
for war.
justification for war.
Red, Blue, ask Blue. Blue does history all the fucking time. Ask him. Is it all just about prejudice?
The only
Yes.
real-world justification for war.
Red, you know
my dear,
jack shit about anything, I get the feeling.
You, my dear, you are literally the thickest piece of thick clotted cream that I've ever had the misfortune to listen to. What the actual fuck?
Okay.
What
Sorry,
the
guys.
actual...
Can you
Rambo
give a-
had no
give a-
reason
give a-
to fight a war.
All right, so this
Give
is
a
what
couple
happens.
very common examples of reasons for war.
This is what happens when
Reasons for
you.
war: resources, defense, constitutional crises, civil wars. You know,
Okay, so
wanted to change. Yeah,
this is what happens when a person is, I wouldn't say has an inflated ego, but thinks they understand things because they've read a lot of stuff. I've read many books, or I've read many things.
I don't think she's read. Well, okay, she's read stuff,
She's read
but I don't
something.
think she's read enough stuff.
These ideas are not her
I
own.
don't
She's
think
been
she's
rambling.
thought a lot enough about. The
She
stuff
has
she's read.
rambled the same point for the past, I don't know, 12 minutes about hurting someone by proxy. And this is all this is. And now she's jumped into real life talking about the justification, the only reason for war, which is insane. Now,
yeah.
I could read lots of fictional books as much as I want. That does not give me some expertise on war in reality. That would be very egotistical of me. So I'm not going to say she's that way. But something is causing her to come to these conclusions, which are so strange.
You cannot say seriously that the only justification for war is the sins of the fathers sort of trope stuff. Because no, then what's a civil war? What's a revolution? What's a war of conquest? What happens? So what? Poland fought against Germany because they've got they wanted to get vengeance? No, they fought against Germany because they were defending their country. What the? So already wrong. I draw the line when people these idiots, these people who want other people to be pacifists and quite clearly have no knowledge of anything to do with actual fighting, then go, this is the reason for war. I'm like, you don't know anything. And then to say it doesn't matter what a soldier tells you is the reason for war. Well, I guess it doesn't matter what a badly drawn character says on a fucking chair about a trope then.
Yeah, and there's been wars that were fought just for the prestige, for honor, which is one of the most stupid reasons of all. That has nothing to do with bigotry. That is the purely most selfish type of war you can have. Mm-hmm. Just go to the other nation and wage war against them because it gives you honor.
Right. Okay. Look at the British conquest of India. Right. Most of that was just a bunch of companies, as in like it'd be like Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft or something, or whatever, fighting each other for control over trade routes. So what's that? Is that grudges? No, that's just be like very violent business stuff. The British also used for conquest the different Rajas that used to live in the area. They used to make them fight each other using sabotage and stuff like that, so that they'd become weaker so that when the British turned up, they wouldn't have to fight as hard, or fight as many, or they could just get a peace deal done quicker.
Yeah, and
So-
Cyber also brings it to the point by saying the Zulu Empire is full of bigots.
Yeah.
Because there was just an expansionist massacre, similar to the Comanche
Zulu
tribe
War.
in North America.
Right, the Zulu War was because
Not the Zulu War.
No.
The Zulu
But
Empire
I'm gonna
forging
explain.
itself.
Yeah, but I'm going to explain. The Zulu War between the British and the Zulu Empire was due to the governor of Natal, Henry. I can't remember his surname. Played by John Sims in the movie. It was because between him and Lord Chelmsford, they wanted. Chelmsford wanted glory, and I think it was Henry Simmons or something like that. Wanted the resources on the other side of the Natal River. So it wasn't because of bigotry; it was because of resources, and I think they believed there was quite a lot of diamonds there. So it was about wealth and power, and it was actually done behind the back of the British government. So in that war, the British government didn't even know they were going to war with the Zulu Empire until they got news of Isandlwana and Rorke's Drift 6 months later. So,
yeah.
So where's the bigotry? Where's the bigotry
that's
in
an
that
important bit of
war?
history. Yeah.
but
What I was referring to was the forming of the Zulu Empire.
Yeah, Shaka's formation of the Zulu Empire in the early 1800s.
Which was
because
also
he fought against
about power.
He fought against the Boers. He drove the Dutch settlers who were there before the Zulus.
Long before that. I am talking about the forming of the Zulu Empire, where Shaka Zulu was just before any Boers were involved. He was subjugating and massacring every other tribe he could find that wouldn't join him.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
And that was also about power, not about bigotry.
But what I'm saying as well is there were Boer settlers in certain areas because the Dutch have been there for a very long time, hence why the Boer Wars against the British. And Shaka Zulu forced them out. The Battle of Blood River, he deliberately went against them. He targeted the Boers to kick them out of that area, even though the Boers were there before the Zulus. Because the Boers used to travel to places they knew the African tribes weren't in, because most of them were just simple farmers who didn't have armies, they didn't have stuff like that. They were just simple farmers who'd been there for ages. Before even the Zulus, and then the Zulus just massacred them. So, yeah. Once you start reading about the other parts of Shaka Zulu building his empire up, he's always classed as this great person when in reality he's just a normal ruler. You know what I mean? He's just
from the retellings, quite a psychopathic, bloodthirsty one. Smart one, but a bloodthirsty one.
He's the one who began their tradition of soul release, where they'd on the battlefield, if you were dead or wounded or captured, what they would do would be cut open your belly so that your soul could escape and go to heaven or hell. Yeah, so at the Battle of Isandlwana, anybody who was not killed straight away or tried to surrender, and we're including little kids as well, because the British had buglers who were under the age of 16, drummers and stuff like that. So they were split open with an assegai down their belly, whether they're alive or dead, so that their spirit could escape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
anyway,
I am surprised Red seems unaware of or is this double thing she's conducting here? That in one part he's all for the reparation stuff. It's, at least that's what I got from this.
She's only
and on the other hand,
as long as it's white people paying for stuff against black people. When there's easily been an equal amount of back and forth between people, because surprisingly, tribes, which humans are a tribal species, tend to fight against each other. There's always always something. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fucking unbelievable.
Yeah. So she is fine with sins of the father that even she attributes to villains for the most part, if it is done to the politically feasible group.
Who she believes deserves it, which she was saying, oh, how do you know that they deserve it? It's like, well, you seem to have figured that out, but hey ho. This is ridiculous. This is getting a ridiculous video.
She fall under the same category then?
Yeah, ironically, I wanted to say it, but I also want to get this fucking video over and done with, and I didn't want to pause it and say that she's literally describing herself with the bigoted stuff.
Let's please continue. This is getting nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm getting a migraine.
The soldiers or civilian casualties did to deserve it. Vengeance isn't profound or moral or justified or anything particularly deep. It's just an inefficient and damaging way to sublimate pain and harmful emotions while seeking some kind of emotional release or catharsis. At its best, it motivates the pursuit of fairness or balance as...
I really don't think people after years and years need emotional catharsis. Because they've gone through all those emotions. They want justice.
Not the ancestors 7 generations down the line.
That is, I don't even know how you figure that out mentally. That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, because you're not even aware of the shit. And it's the thing.
What she's just said was the biggest pile of shit I have heard in a long time. And I'm not... we're arguing about... We're arguing about a woman who obviously hasn't got a fucking clue what she's actually on about, and she's just saying words here that she thinks sounds good.
And picking up her prior example of a family feud that I also brought up before. How do you end a family feud?
You steal a gang's kids, and then they burn down.
No jokes.
Sorry,
I mean for real. How do you stop a family feud?
I'm not even joking. In Red Dead 2, there's a family feud that ends the way that you want it. The answer is by the deaths of either one or both of the families.
Yeah, that's one way of it. But I mean the virtuous end. That is both.
You mean the other way is. Or usually,
you switch on your brain and you just fucking stop. And I bring this up because this is how we dealt with racism in the 90s. We just stopped talking about it. We just stopped treating each other based on the skin color, but instead on the character and based on the actions of people, of the very people, and not of their ancestors or some bullshit like that. We did what Morgan Freeman said. Stop talking about it. That's how you end it.
Oh, but that doesn't work.
It worked too well. It did work so well that the left got scared that they lose one of their biggest points to rile people up about. Because when racism is a solved problem, what the fuck's the left gonna muck about? Who needs the left if racism is solved?
Gender, I guess.
Yeah, that's part of why they brought that bullshit up into being and made up this fantasy shit about it. Because when it's complete fantasy shit, how are you gonna get rid of that?
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna debunk a complete fantasy that they teach children to believe in?
I just realized this person's like the story version of Movie Bob. She talks really quickly.
Oh my god.
Says a lot of silly words, and always has a political slant to things for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
what is it called? Trope talk?
I would not have come up with that. Wow, cool. Wow, amazing. You're blowing my mind here.
Mark has transcended above everyone else.
Yeah, at this point, I'm doing what I usually do with Movie Bob stuff or people who talk like Movie Bob. I just stop listening.
Wow.
All right, let's please. This is just going to be a shit show for the next 5 minutes. So I don't know.
Yeah, you know it is.
Asking for retribution injustice or a wrongdoing, but at its worst, it morphs into victim-seeking, looking for acceptable or justifiable targets to hurt. Vengeance produces the illusion of righteousness because it's an understandable and relatable motivation, but just because someone's been hurt doesn't mean the pain they cause in turn is justified. The Sins of the Father trope is one of the easiest ways to trigger a cycle of vengeance narrative, where a cavalcade of aggrieved people cause enormous amounts of damage that doesn't end until someone goes out of their way to break the cycle, frequently at great personal cost. See, if character B hurts character A and character A takes revenge on them, they can easily hurt character C in the process, even totally incidentally. Maybe character C is just hurt because they care about character B, like for instance if character B is their parent. Character A is very careful to only target character B, but character C loves character B, and there's no way character A can hurt character B without also hurting the totally innocent character C. So now character C is aggrieved and wants vengeance, and it's even justifiable. Character A friggin' murdered their parent. That motivation is so justifiable, it's literally a stock hero motivation. And when they target character A, maybe they end up hurting characters D and E in the process, who develop vengeance motivations of their own, and so on and so forth. Every innocent person incidentally hurt for the sins of the father ends up developing a perfectly justifiable vengeance motivation of their own. This is the exact plot of 6 whole Greek tragedies. Even the most carefully formulated vengeance plan will have collateral damage. The cycle doesn't stop until someone recognizes that just because they're in pain doesn't mean that...
Yeah, this is not... The Last of Us Part 2 is not a Sins of the Father. It was literally a guy killing another guy. And you're taking revenge on that guy who shot your dad.
But Abby good and Ellie bad, okay?
A vengeance cycle is not necessarily Sins of the Father.
It's got nothing to do with Sins of the Father, and I'm just fucking fed up with this woman. Right now, I am fishing on Red Dead 2 because I'm just not interested.
Yeah, let's just keep going.
I know, honest to God, this woman could bore for her country at the Olympics.
I want one example of a Greek tragedy that this is the father. I'm sure it's out there. Just give me one. Give me one reference. I want one.
Hold on. What I laugh about is she will not give any references to any of her examples except from in the Bible.
Yeah. Red, if you say there are 6 Greek tragedies that use this, then name them. Just write the titles out.
Yeah, put them in a little chart that you can use, what you use for other stuff, and just say these are the 6 that use them. Oh, cool! I'll look them up and see why they're bad. What? No? Oh, right. Okay.
Was it the birds? Probably not, but girl. Put some effort where it belongs.
Come on, boy.
You have your priorities. You don't have your priorities straight.
They have a right to hurt and stops it. Vengeance can always be justified, but a justification is the same thing as an excuse. At some point, someone needs to pump the brakes and ask what good any of this will actually do. But with all that said, the Sins of the Father concept is not actually always used in vengeance tropes. Sometimes characters feel responsible for the sins of their ancestors all on their own, no antagonists required. This comes in 3 major flavors. 1, a character tries to make up for the damage their ancestor caused, usually by trying to fix stuff they messed up.
Is she just reading TV tropes and then forgetting the meaning behind the paragraph after? Like she just reads the
yes,
and then she makes up her own. Like this is stupid.
Hold on. Actually, hold on 5 seconds. I am just gonna go and look up TV tropes right now.
Since it's fun.
Yeah, no. Honest to God, I've already got it up because I've got the Red Dead tropes up. So let's have a look. Sins of the Father, and I'll just see what the actual thing says.
Make sure to have safe search on.
Well, it's perfectly. Let me just turn this porn off. Anyway, so sins of our fathers. All right, they're responsible for this. Parents, and that's from heroes. TV tropes: the act of exacting revenge upon the descendants of the one who originally did wrong. Why someone would target the descendants rather than the one who originally did the wrong tends to vary, but it's usually due to the original offender not being alive enough. Okay, due to...
What does that mean?
I'm sorry, but that's not due to the original offender not being alive enough to go after and make suffer, or that the descendants benefited or still benefits from his ancestors' crimes. The money grandfather stole allowed the father to go to medical school, which allowed the son to grow up in comfortable circumstances. Therefore, son deserves to be punished for grandfather's theft. This is especially true of villains who are immortal or undead, or many a sealed evil in a can, whose hatred can take years, if not decades or centuries, to fester and grow. More often than not, this form of revenge is pursued by villains rather than heroes, since targeting someone other than the person who actually committed the wrong, and who may not have anything to do with it aside from being descended from the person who did, is a good way to wind up on the wrong side of the rule of empathy. Yeah, so if she had actually just said that, she'd made more sense. And there's tons of like examples. Frozen 2. The sisters learn that their paternal grandfather, King, I don't give a toss, was an evil colonist whose treachery is the point of origin for the ecological curse that... Oh, shut the fuck up, that's stupid. The abominable Dr. Fibes. Fibes takes revenge on the 10 people he blames. But that's not really... Oh, but he used the 10 plagues of Egypt as his theme, meaning that the last murder would be the death of the firstborn, aimed at the surgery. But that's still revenge against...
Examples of shit. But it's kind of telling and sad when a TV tropes article is more consistent than what Red is what Red is spouting.
This isn't. Iron Man 2 is actually used because Ivan Vanko seeks out revenge against Tony to exact vengeance for Howard Stark ruining his father's life. So he's taking revenge against the son for the dad ruining his. Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
That might make sense. Actually, that Sharp's Peril is what I was talking about. And that's actually mentioned here in TV tropes.
Anyway, let's get back to the video. If
Sorry that I'm that tangent there. I was just seeing what it actually said, because it seems like she's not actually researched anything, because there's enough. There may be poor examples, but there's enough examples to say something somewhere.
All right.
I'm beginning to agree with Larry in the chat, who's been saying for a while that Red is just glancing at this article and then injecting her own politics into it. She's deliberately misleading to share her garbage opinions, which I am more and more inclined to believe she's doing.
Oh wait, so Larry says that. Larry says that you agree with him. Larry says that you agree with him. I say that. Oh, that's nice. Hawk. Ruffle my hair and carry on. All right, cool. I've said that. I said that since like halfway through when you started rambling about
White Hawk.
It is true, yeah.
All right, here is.
All right, I wanted to give her more the benefit of the doubt, but she's just not making enough sense. It's like she's twisting everything into somehow leading to be to enabling her to say the nonsense she's saying about the political stuff she wants to say.
She wants to talk about reparations. She really wants to talk about reparations for black people.
Anyway,
but she doesn't have the balls to actually say it.
Here's Bear Business 1 for the super chat. How dare you insult? How dare you insult Movie Bob? She has not mentioned eugenics yet.
That is true.
Thanks, Movie Bob. For the great standard.
You have to hand it to Bob.
Yeah. For the great standard, there's Movie Bob on talking about killing off his enemies or something like that.
75% of the world should die to give him the future he deserves.
Yes, everyone he looks down upon should die.
Anyway,
the only future I see for you, Bob, is a doctor looking at your hospital chart, going, "Ooh, this is not good."
Anyway, let's go.
out of a sense of personal responsibility. 2, a character constantly deals with annoying problems caused by their ancestors, which has some significant overlap with the "my ancestor is actually the villain" trope. And 3, a character's ancestor did something really bad and the character worries they might be doomed to follow in their footsteps. This is the less spicy cursed bloodline variant. Maybe the ancestor was some legendary hero or other super cool dude who failed at a critical moment, and the hero faces the double whammy of living up to the high bar their extremely cool ancestor set and not messing up the same way their much cooler ancestor did. These uses are comparatively rarer than the vengeance-specific version, since vengeance
That's not Sins of the Father.
Non-vengeance version. What?
No, but not living up to your badass relative is not Sins of the Father.
And what clip was that? Was that Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
You're just making up shit now.
Is that relevant to what she's talking about?
Aragorn's relative ancestor didn't throw the ring away. So Aragorn has to destroy the ring, even though he doesn't destroy the ring.
It sounds like these ideas are all in her head, and she's just making stuff up to accommodate these patterns in her head.
She's just made this whole.
I don't know why she includes video clips. Not really doing anything.
This is not helping any writer because you can't think like her. You're not learning the trope. You're just sort of regurgitating it in some other format. And no one, I don't know a story like this. Give me an example of a story like this. This is the main plot. I've never seen a main plot this big. I've read a lot of murder mysteries. I haven't seen one of these.
I don't know. This video
all of Arthur Conan Doyle's, all of Agatha Christie's, aside from a few Miss Marple and a few of the other plays I never found, and none of these.
Wrong. To recognize that sins of the father doesn't always mean someone else is holding the character responsible. Fundamentally, the sins of the father trope is a question, and that question is, who do you hold responsible? In its non-vengeancey variant, the character holds themselves responsible for fixing or making up for the damage their ancestor did. But in the vengeancey variant, things very easily escalate out of control. Since if the question is
the only thing I can think of, and this is just purely esoteric to myself, is a manga called Release That Witch, where a guy gets reincarnated into the prince of this. The original prince is a horrible person. He's a womanizer, blah, blah, blah. This guy, he's an engineer, comes from Japan, of course, gets reincarnated, brings science to the town he's forced to govern, and he transforms it into a paradise for people, for witches, because they're persecuted, gives them a home, makes everyone's lives better, all this stuff. But that is so specific of a plot because it's about an isekai. It's about going to another world and being reincarnated, as opposed to my dad who bore me, did some bad stuff. I'm going to fix the things he did to a village or to my family or to whatever. You could look at any modern slice of life movie that has a deadbeat dad or a dead dad or an abusive father, alcoholic father, maybe. But this is
that's still not Sins of the Father is you being punished for something your ancestors or father did,
and somehow you're going to fix that
stuff.
Yeah, somehow you're going to be the hero of your own tragedy. Like, what is I don't know. What a strange setup for a story. My dad did something. Everyone hates me. Now I got to prove to them it's not me. It's not me. I didn't do it. Really, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
My dad.
And everyone's like, we know you didn't do it, but we can't punish him, so we're punishing you.
Yeah, it's like, what?
It's like, I mean, what was it?
We need a scapegoat.
I know, what is it? Bane in the Batman comics, when he originally came up, served his father's prison sentence because his father died and Bane was put into it. So that's like Bane suffered the sins of his father, but he's a villain. So that's probably an example of like.
Wait, in the comics or Dark Knight Rises?
In the comics, in the Nightfall comic, when he first the Santa. I can't remember what the thing's called. The prison's called again, but yeah, he gets born in the prison and serves the prison sentence. So So that's me. Sorry, I'm my brain's gone, so we can carry on.
Yeah. 'Cause
framed as hold responsible for my suffering, the anger that suffering caused can volunteer the answer anyone and everyone you can reach. While there's an argument to be made for someone taking responsibility for the actions of their ancestors to try and mitigate or fix the damage, there's no logical reason to hurt the child for the sins of the father. There's just an emotional reason. By definition, the child did nothing wrong and thus deserves nothing bad. Their only crime was proximity to the real problem, and they didn't exactly have a choice in the matter. Because of this, heroic characters usually shy away from their vengeance the minute collateral damage enters the equation. But villainy-inclined characters have more of a tendency to double down and turn their targeted vengeance into a more large-scale crusade. After all, if you squint, maybe the person who hurt you wasn't solely responsible. Maybe the society that enabled them was. Maybe the family that supported them was. Maybe their friends and loved ones are the real villains for not stopping them. If the character is just looking for a target, they can always find one, and they can always justify it.
This is the same thing she said 10 minutes ago. I'm getting sick and tired of this.
So, Red, now you're proving the logic, or again, by the way, that the whole black reparations shit of the US is bullshit. Thank you. Carry on.
I just keep going. I've got nothing to say for this anymore.
Even
I've said my argument. So.
The cycle only breaks when the character starts asking, how can this be fixed, instead of what will make me feel good, or more commonly, when they die. Vengeance crusades have a pretty high mortality rate, especially once the avenging character crosses the burn everything to the ground threshold, which is frequently a pretty easy next step to take after target innocent people for the bad stuff someone else did. Man, that one got spicier than I expected.
Oh, you mean like the US last year?
So, yeah, and thanks again to Campfire Blaze for sponsoring this video. As you may know, Campfire Blaze is a browser-based
thank God.
designed to help creators stay organized while you write in world.
It's
Campfire Blaze, thank you.
You can keep it
Mwah,
private.
mwah,
Campfire
mwah,
Blaze's
thank you.
manuscript module gives you an
Beautiful,
in-browser word
beautiful.
processor you
Shit,
can use
please
right
don't
without
watch
losing
it,
track
Hawk.
of your world building notes, and it automatically saves your project in the cloud. Plus, it's got an
Red,
auto-tracking feature
thank you
that highlights key
for
things in your writing so you
stating
can
that
quickly reference details in the
BLM
world building you might
is
have lost sight. Very useful
unjustified
for building
in
complex
burning down the
multi-generational
United
feuds.
States.
Campfire
she's
Blaze also
going
has
super
dedicated
speed
tools for
now.
fleshing out locations,
Holy
maps,
jeez.
cultures, species, magic systems, and more. So you can
Guys, get a word processor. It's free. Go to docs.google.com and just type, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just type. You don't
Yep.
need to sign up for
That simple?
It's really that simple. Maybe get a black theme so you don't hurt your eyes and just type.
Or just, if you're really struggling, get a pen and get a pad of paper.
Ooh.
Well,
I
how do I
know
write?
that's great. How do you write? You stick it in your nose and you smash your face against the paper for 20 minutes and something happens.
Holy crap.
Not advised for children.
Jesus Christ.
That was a shit video, and I never want to see this person's.
Yeah, Red,
I
that
don't
was
want to see this person's face
brain
ever
dead.
again.
That thing was brain dead. Holy hell.
Is there even memes for this? This is
Let's see if we got memes from this
I don't
crap.
know.
Let me go find out.
Not a lot, but I'm not surprised either.
Oh God. Oh man.
Oh, we've only got 2.
There's only 2?
Oh,
She goes too
Yeah.
fast. It's hard. Red is wrong.
no.
Just load it up.
This was just weak. I seriously expect more from this woman. And every other, yeah, all of the other hard SJWs,
What is this?
they make better cases for their crap than whatever this drivel was.
Brazil doesn't exist? What is?
Oh yeah, Brazil.
Oh,
Yeah, Brazil doesn't
that's,
exist. Don't worry about
Mateus's
it. Yeah.
catchphrase.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Red is wrong. Bottom text. What? Red is
is
Yeah,
wrong.
wrong,
that's
yeah.
it. It's just
This is
red.
Oh, okay. Vengeance, a Sins of the Father book. I kept thinking of Gabriel Knight, that Sierra game, Sins of the Father,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because I'm old. This is Sins of the Father, Vengeance of an Assassin comic or movie? This is not. Okay.
I'm trying to look at what that actually is.
Yeah, what is that?
This video was so weak, I'm disappointed.
She could have easily, if she's using...
Fast chaos.
Yeah, if you're using TV tropes, all you have to do is open up all the folders, look at all the examples, and say, does this one work? Can I use this? Do I have clips of this? Do I have pictures? Then I'll talk about it. Maybe even watch the show or read the book. That might help too. Then you just talk about it. And you give examples of why this is a trope and how it works. That's it. That's your the whole thing of your YouTube channel is to talk about tropes.
Yeah.
That's
Hawk
all you
was
have to
able
do.
to find Iron Man 2. I'm surprised she didn't use that for the video.
Here's Ken.
Yeah.
This is just silly. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I'm fishing in Red Dead. That's Hawk.
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
Because why wouldn't it be?
Smud and Hawk are just Chad. Look at their muscles.
All right. All right. That was kind of sad. I was disappointed. I thought her videos were decent. That one was just kind of silly.
I can already see the comments at the bottom of our video now going, me, you're just stupid. You don't know anything about me. You're not letting her speak. You're not letting her. Oh look, Hawk said that he wasn't even paying attention. He was doing something else. Yeah, well, I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I got
she repeated
bored,
herself, so
and I had
I've already heard it before.
Yeah, I've got better things to do. Unfortunately, I can't just kill myself. So I have to find other things to do.
I cannot recommend
like
killing
video.
yourself.
This is the Islamic sign. This is the Islamic sign. It's like, how many times are you going to repeat that?
Yeah. Does the Sins of the Father, if you turn it this way, look like the crescent moon and the Islamic? No, it does. Oh my God! Can you imagine those two talking with each other? Oh, fuck.
Anger and vengeance is not the same. Anger and wrath is not the same.
She got it so wrong so early, and it was just
from the first second on.
14 seconds in, she was wrong, and I'm just like, wow.
So anytime you guys want to write a story about a certain plot and a reason for that plot, get very specific and get very understanding of your subject material before you start writing. And motivations are key. So in her case, she is inventing stories in her head to explain a trope, which is what you don't do. The trope should be self-explanatory. You read something, you watch something, you go, there it is, there's the trope. And then you go a step up, which is categorization, which clarifies or summarizes the trope in a general sense that you could apply to other stories. And that's why we have TV tropes. We just go down the list, say, there's a book, there's a manga, there's a movie, there's a live action, whatever, and you see the same trope. Sometimes it's not the same trope, but someone thinks it is, and maybe you have to argue with that person, or maybe the surface level is there and not the deeper meaning. That happens a lot too on that site. So you have to be careful.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't need TV tropes to write a story. Just be aware that what you're doing has been done before. And to familiarize yourself with those stories, so when you set out to do your own thing, you do your own unique twist, and that's it. You don't need to do anything else. Just stick with your story and keep writing. And that should be all the motivation you need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You make it sound so easy.
Honestly, every story's special. It's all been done before, but if you give me a little twist at the start, in the middle, I don't care where it is, give me something. Hopefully not right at the end, because that's the worst place to put a twist. And unless it's a murder mystery and you know how to write murder mysteries very well, and that's usually right at the last chapter before the denouement, like a Poirot story where he reveals the murderer. It's brilliant deduction, and there's no other possible way it could have been done that way unless it was figured out this way. That takes time.
Otherwise, you just turn into M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, God. No. I don't even know if that's the case. I think he just lost his touch after a long, long time.
I don't know. Have you seen Wayward Pines?
No.
That is just always big twist at the end that comes out of the blue.
Why doesn't it come out of the red? Whatever, I don't care. That was a terrible joke.
Anyway, guys, it's getting late. That was wasn't painful, it was just sad. I'm just like,
Yeah, I agree.
We're just meh.
That was painful for me.
Well, get a drink, get a nap, go to bed, whatever works for you. Tomorrow's another day. That was Monday.
Totally.
Good for me. I had a great day Monday. This is nothing. This is like, poof. I've read some silly essay from some guy I don't know. Great, no problem.
Wait.
I'm just like, I'm going to bed and I'm going to dream happy dreams about fishing in Red Dead.
All right.
Because that's so much more interesting than this video.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Mark, for popping in as well. He's gone now, but I do appreciate Mark popping in. It was a full house for a bit there. I like that. But sadly, not enough material for us to work with. So we'll get a better one next time, guys. Thanks. Keep voting. Keep suggestions coming. Keep everything coming. And we'll get a nice one for you this week, hopefully.
Yeah, and as a clarification for, I think, yesterday, it wasn't that we weren't interested in the video that was voted on. It was just that for individual circumstances, no one was around.
Mm.
That was all.
The World War II one.
Yeah. Plus, the video is not really our style. It's just sort of a nice, funny way of looking at the origins of World War II, I guess, which is fine. I don't mind it. I can do it, but it's not for my benefit. It's for one of these guys on the panel, because I don't really know world history very well.
That's for the audience. If the audience wants it.
Oh, no, they will request it, but I can't cover it. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll just listen and hope for the best. But someone...
Give us a good one, guys.
Yeah, make it about media, make it about stories, make it about politics where it shouldn't be. That's always a popular thing. And we almost had that here. So something that we could sink our teeth into. If it's war related and it's funny, it's a TED Talk, that's fine. I'd be happy to have.
It's usually a bit better if it's, the person doesn't know much about war, so we can like give examples of like how, like if I watch something where someone knows what they're on about with war, I'm gonna be very quiet because I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, they're right. I don't have anything to add here. But
you guys really want to do a war one for 300 for 300?
I'm just giving a example. It's one of those things where if we agree too much with something, not too much with something, but as in like if we agree, if people want to see us talk about something, we'll do a smud talk about it, not a gosh,
I might be doing that on the weekend with Glib if something pops up, but something else pops up. But it's very specific and it's very niche, so I don't want to waste anyone's time, especially if you're not interested. And I would hate.
I mean, I probably got one that's more specific.
Yeah, see, if you're passionate and tell me, we'll do it. But I don't want to do like something that no one is kind of like, I'm not really into it, but I could try. No, I want you guys to be passionate. I want the panel to care, or else it's just I need bodies. It's like, no, I don't want to do a boring episode.
Bodies.
Yeah, I just need bodies on the seats to talk.
Bodies, huh?
Yeah, like I need Glib and Shiny to scream at each other. It's like, no, I don't want to do that. There's no reason for that. So
it was funny because they were screaming in the morning nonsense.
they always, that's what they do. Anyway, thank you guys. We'll talk soon, hopefully, and have yourself a great